AM1310 Facebook page, the Q92 YouTube page, and on X. This is the Sam Bourquin Show on AM1310 WDPN.
Jose's off. Pitches high. Throw down. Bounced. Not in time. Ramirez with his 10th stolen base of the year.
And that's why it was safe.
Jose's running for third. Here's the throw. It's not in time. And Ramirez went in there. He almost upended Durbin, the third baseman. Center field. Churio racing back. Still going back. And makes. No, he didn't make the catch. Ramirez scores. Santana scores. Here comes Bo. It's a 3-run double with 2 outs for Gabriel Arias.
Runs and drives inside, kicks it out. Ananobi, wide open three-pointer. It's good. Hart in the front court. Hart to drive, gets to the Rams. Bank shot is good. 2.5 remaining.
The second pick will be made by the San Antonio Spurs, and that means that the number 1 pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
And so it goes in the world of sports last night. Welcome into the Sam Bourquin Show right here, AM 1310, WDPN.com, streaming live all over the world at AM 1310. WDPN.com. You can listen to us on the Q92 radio YouTube channel, Facebook page. You can get the audio and the visuals there if you want. Of course, we are ready to rock. We got a great show for you today. We're going to talk Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers basketball coming up here in just a few minutes. We're going to check in with another one of our area collegiate coaches, Jeff Young, the head coach at Walsh University. Is going to talk a little NBA playoffs with us today. We'll see what the Walsh Cavaliers are up to as well. We are going to talk to Adam Jardy from the Columbus Dispatch. Does a great job covering the Ohio State men's basketball team. I thought we'd have Adam on today because I know Coach Diebler addressed the Columbus media, I guess, a couple of days ago. It was like a State of the Union on the Buckeye basketball program, where they've been, where they're at, where they're going, and some other things that are going on. We're going to have Adam Jardy coming up here this afternoon. And we hope to catch up with Dan Genetin. He is the newly appointed wrestling coach over at Perry High School, and we hope to have him on in the 5 o'clock hour or so. Phone lines are open for you at 330-821-1310. That's 330-821-1310. We'll have On This Day in Sports History coming up a little bit later on. We'll talk about what happened in the NBA playoffs last night. Oh, my gosh. Boy, if you're a Celtics fan. You know what? If you're an NBA fan, you've got to be sick to your stomach with what happened with Jason Tatum last night. Tore his Achilles. He's done for the year. He might not even get back next year. You hate to see that happen. You really do. And for those of you that thought a couple of months ago, lock it in, Celtics Cavs for the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals. Oh, boy, how things have changed. How things have changed. It's looking like it's the Knicks and the Pacers right now. I mean, I don't know what the odds are there, but to me, it looks like it's going to be Indiana, New York, unless the Cavaliers just go crazy here the next couple days and win this series. Now, I'm not saying the Celtics can't come back and beat the Knicks, but they're down 3-1. I don't think it's looking good. So we'll see. Matter of fact, to tell you on the betting angle here, the gambling, the odds angle, before Game 4 last night, the Celtics were plus 225 to win the NBA title. You know what they are now? Plus 3,000. The sports books are giving them basically no chance. And the way they're playing, and without Tatum, I don't see how that the Cavaliers are going to be able to get it done. I just don't see it. So, Game 5 is almost upon us. about 4 hours from right now, because they're going to tip that thing about 7:10. Cavs at home against Indiana. Cleveland is an 8-point favorite in the ball game. I know. It kind of makes me laugh a little bit too. But usually the people that make those numbers are usually pretty close. Now, they've been off a couple times in this series, but you would think 5 games into a best of 7 that the experts would have a pretty good idea with what's going on there. So we'll see. Cavaliers look to be healthy. Donovan Mitchell, good to go. DeAndre Hunter, good to go. Darius Garland, good to go. Evan Mobley, good to go. Hopefully the rest of the fellows are ready to go. I'm hoping that it's a really good atmosphere tonight. I hope the Cavaliers fans that head up there, all 19,432 of them, don't have a little fan hangover for tonight's game. You're going to need to be rowdy when they tip that thing off, and it's going to be a 2.5 hour grinder at Rocket Arena tonight. It really is. So the Cavaliers, as I said yesterday, their backs aren't against the wall. Their backs are in the wall. There's nothing else to it. You win or you're cooked. And as I also said yesterday here on the show, what a disappointment that would be. What a terrible disappointment that would be. That fantastic regular season, all the fun that was had, and just be done. Then what do you do? Then what do you say? What do you say if you're the Cavaliers? What do you say if you're Kobe Altman or Kenny Atkinson? You got to address the media after the game. Or the next day when you have your end of the year meeting. What do you say? Well, we had a great regular season. We thought we had the pieces. We thought we had the talent. ... Things just didn't work out. After a while, fans don't want to hear that, especially after what happened a couple of years ago with that meltdown to the New York Knicks, when they just got pushed around, out-physicaled, outplayed, out-toughed, out-hustled, out-everything. So then you come back with the same group. You bring in a new head coach. You win, what was it? You went to 48, 58. You won 16 or 17 more games this year than you did a year ago. And here you are in the second round of the playoffs on the verge of getting knocked out via the gentleman's sweep. Who saw that coming? I did not. I don't think a lot of Cavs people did. I don't think, I don't think Indiana people saw that coming. If you talk to Pacer fans before the series, they probably thought, well, Cavs are going to win. It's just a matter of it's going to be, 5, 6, or 7. And I can't tell you the amount of people that I talked to and heard from that said, oh, it'll be a gentleman's sweep. It'll go 6 at the max. There's no way this thing's even going 7. Well, here we are. It needs to go 7. It needs to go 7. But we'll see. What do you think? Cavs get it tonight? Or do we go home? Do we pack up our wine and gold fan bag for the year? Or are we done? 330-821-1310, 330-821-1310. Also, our Twitter poll question of the day. You can get that on X at AM1310 WDPN, at Sam Bourquin 16, or at Q92 Sports. Poll question of the day. In your opinion, what's the best era for sports? What was the best era for sports? Excuse me. A, the 70s, B, the 80s, C, the 90s, or D, 2000s plus present day? What was the best era for sports? The 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000 to the present? That's our poll question of the day. You can take that on X and on Facebook as well. So the Celtics go down last night. They're on the verge. They're on the verge of going out. Cavs Pacers tonight. The Cavaliers are on the verge of going out. And then you look at a couple of the other NBA series that are going on. I wonder who's going to make it to the Western Conference Finals. I just wonder. The Nuggets going to get there somehow. The Thunder. I wonder who's going to get there. I've got a feeling that these games in the West, that these series in the West, I think they're going to go the full 7. Just got a feeling they're going to go the full 7. 2-2 tie between Denver and Oak City. They'll play Game 5 tonight in Oklahoma City. Thunder, a huge favorite tonight. 9.5. 9.5 against Denver. Tomorrow night, Knicks Celtics. Celtics are actually a home favorite tomorrow night, -4.5 against New York. Timberwolves a big favorite tomorrow night already against Golden State. The Wolves will be laying 11.5. So lots of big numbers. Matter of fact, Minnesota can close out the Warriors, and I don't know about Steph Curry. I don't know if he's going to play. It doesn't look like it right now. All right, we're going to take a break. We're coming up on 20 minutes after the hour. Phone lines are open at 330-821-1310. Talking Cavs Pacers. Hey, the Guardians with a win last night. Jose Ramirez stole 1, 2, 3 bases. Gabby Arias had a good game. Perry's got a new wrestling coach. We got our poll question. We'll take a look at the high school baseball scene. And don't forget, a little bit later on, we've got our sports history on this day coming up as well. Stay with us, everybody. More to come on the Sam Bourquin Show right here. 1310 WDPN.
Looking for a fun-filled way to celebrate the spring season? Head to Springfest at Spring Hill Historic Home in Massillon this Saturday, May 17th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. This all-ages event is packed with something for everyone. Over 20 artisan and craft vendors, tasty eats from D3K Dogs and Boba Tea-licious, live music from the Canal Street Ramblers and Maddie Starr, plus crafts, games, and a scavenger hunt. Tour the historic 1821 farmhouse and don't miss the t-shirt printing bar by Sassy Mama Creative Designs. Shop unique finds from favorites like the Red Geranium, Molly B's Candle Company, A Wandering Palette, and Ebb the Creator, just to name a few. Admission is $10 for adults, $5 for youth ages 6 to 12, and free for kids 5 and under. Get your tickets now on Eventbrite. And your love of all things spring to Spring Hill Historic Home this Saturday, 11 to 4.
America, our military is sacrificing for our freedom. So please take time to remember our men and women fighting overseas. This salute courtesy of Diamond in the Rough Property Solutions, serving our community with dependability and excellence. For all of your residential and light commercial remodeling needs, call the professionals at 330-763-0089. 330-763-0089. Diamond in the Rough Property Solutions, reminding everyone to hire smart, hire a vet.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Here's the latest news on AM 1310 WDPN.
Good afternoon. It's 3:30. President Trump is in Saudi Arabia as part of a three-nation Mideast tour and has received a warm welcome from Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The president also gave a foreign policy speech and came onto the stage at the Riyadh Conference Center to the strains of YMCA and God Bless the USA. During his speech, Trump said he is warming relations with Syria's new government.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness.
Trump also said he wants to make a new nuclear agreement with Iran, but stresses that Iran hasn't been fully cooperative. Business leaders from Amazon, BlackRock, OpenAI are also in Saudi Arabia for the president's trip. Tax breaks tallying more than $5 trillion, but also sizable reductions in Medicaid healthcare, food stamps for older Americans, and green energy strategies to fight climate change. Those are all up for debate today as the House Republicans launch public hearings on President Trump's spending bill. Republicans are working to push Trump's signature legislative package through a gauntlet of committee hearings over opposition from Democrats, advocacy groups, and even some Republicans. House Speaker Mike Johnson hopes to send the Senate the bill by Memorial Day. President Trump's administration is cutting another $450 million in grants to Harvard University, a day after the Ivy League school pushed back against government allegations it's a hotbed of liberalism and anti-Semitism. A federal anti-Semitism task force said in a letter to Harvard today it will lose grants from 8 federal agencies in addition to $2.2 billion previously frozen by the Trump administration. Harvard disputes the government's allegations, saying it is nonpartisan and has taken steps to root out anti-Semitism on campus. George Clooney is one of the world's most recognizable celebrities, but 2 reporters who have written a forthcoming book about President Joe Biden's final years in office say he didn't recognize the actor last year. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more from Washington.
In an article they've written for The New Yorker, CNN's Jake Tapper and Axios' Alex Thompson say actor George Clooney was shaken to the core when at a star-studded LA fundraiser last June, then President Biden seemingly failed to recognize him. The authors say Biden, who had just returned from a summit in Italy, had to be prompted that he was shaking hands with the Hollywood legend. Just weeks later, after Biden's disastrous debate performance, Clooney was one of the earliest and most prominent Biden supporters to urge him to drop out of the race.
It's 69 degrees in Alliance at 3:32. This is WDPN News. I'm Jeff Mears.
This is the Sam Bourquin Show on AM 1310 WDPN.
Back on the show, 325. Pay no attention to the timing of that news. Welcome back to the Sam Bourquin Show, AM 1310, WDPN, streaming live, AM 1310, WDPN.com. Having some phone issues right now, so we'll be trying to get a hold of Coach Jeff Young. JY, be patient. We're trying to get a hold of you and talk a little Cavs Pacers and a little Walsh Cavaliers hoops as well today. So, Game 5 coming up tonight at 7:10. Win or go home. You know the deal. You know the deal. Who's got to be the dog tonight? Give me the dog for the Cavs. Has it got to be number 45? Has it got to be Donovan Mitchell? Evan Mobley? Max Strus? Oh, Jared Allen maybe show up tonight? That would be good. DeAndre Hunter? Somebody else. Who does it have to be to get this thing to go to a Game 6? And here's the good thing. If you win tonight for the Cavs, you don't play till Friday. So give our guys a couple more days of rest to get things together. And then you'd bounce right back to Cleveland for a Game 7 coming up on Sunday. But if you don't win tonight, it's Katie bar the door. one of my all-time favorite sayings. Still don't know what it means. It was explained to me years ago. Katie bar, I have no idea. Cavaliers now down to a 7.5-point favorite tonight. They still got Donovan listed as a game-time decision. He said he was going to be ready to go. He says he'll be there. So I'm going to take him on his word. I'm not going to wait for the official news isn't going to come out till later on. He said he'd be ready. I have faith that the Spider will be there and he'll be ready to go tonight. But he's going to need some help. Going to need some help. Got to hit our threes. Got to defend the threes. And for the love of God, play hungry. Play with a little mean streak tonight. Play with some passion. If you can't get going tonight in front of 19,000 plus, then there's a serious problem. If you can't get it together tonight, I don't know what to tell you. I've already found it hard to believe how the Cavaliers have come out in the first two games of this series. I certainly hope they don't do it for a third time. I can't get inside their minds, their bodies, their heart. I can't do that. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But you better come out with some fire tonight, and don't come out with fire and then fall back. Keep it going. Build yourself a 30-point lead so you don't have to worry about blowing it or the possibility of you blowing it. As we know in the NBA, 18, 22, 24-point leads doesn't mean anything. Now, once you get over 30, 32, 34, you can pretty much mail that in. But if you're the Cavaliers, don't come out of the gate tonight 8-0. And then the first quarter's, 28-27. Come out with a little something. Come out with some meaning tonight. I think they'll do it. I can't guarantee it, but I think they'll do it. But I would rather know they could than I think they can, if that makes any sense. 3:30 is your time here on the Sam Bourquin Show. AM 1310 WDPN, streaming live, AM 1310 WDPN.com. What do you think tonight? Do we win and move on, or do we pack up the wine and gold equipment? What happens?
Sam, I'm a glass half full kind of guy myself.
I hope. See, I got my glass right here. It's a green glass. And actually, it's half full. Now, it's not about to be, but it's half full right now.
I mean, it's half anything. It's all about perspective. I like to go half full and believe in the Cavs that they can win tonight. Bring home their second.
I hope so. I've seen too many things in the first four games that lead me to believe otherwise. I still can't. If you would have told me, I still can't believe it. I'm looking at it right now, pen on paper. Pacers 3, Cavaliers 1 in the series. I'm looking at it right now, and I still can't believe what I'm looking at. It wasn't supposed to be this way. It wasn't. Cavaliers got their fannies kicked by the New York Knicks a couple years ago. Well, we got on them too, and they deserved it. Made the coaching change, 60-plus wins, got back into it. Blew through the Miami Heat like they weren't even there. And here we are. And here we are on the verge of being eliminated in the second round. Not even the Eastern Conference Finals, the second round. And you're about to get gentlemen swept. How about that? Let that sink in for a minute. If you'd have told me somehow Pacers beat the Cavaliers in 7, okay. I wouldn't like it. I'd fight it. But if you'd have told me, series over, everybody. Pacers win it 4-1. Season's over for the Cavs. I just said, get out of here with that. Get out. Go away. I don't believe you. Not up in here. But that's what we're looking at right now. Got to hand it to Rick Carlisle. He's done a pretty masterful job with all the interviews, the press conferences, the players have all done and kind of said the right things as you move through an NBA series, not getting too high, not getting too low. The constant, well, we haven't done anything yet. We've got 1 win, we've got 2 wins, we've got 3. Still got to win 4 to get the series. They're still imposing their will. That's the thing that I think bothers me the most. They're still imposing their will on this team. The Pacers are still dictating pretty much every possession in this series. Look, I know the Cavs smoked them in Game 3. I know. I watched it. Well, you're down 3-1 now. The Pacers have pretty much told the Cavaliers, this is how you are going to play tonight. This is what we're going to do. This is how you're going to play. And the Cavs haven't fought through that barrier. Excuse me. For whatever reason, they haven't gotten through there. And I don't know why. I don't know what is stopping them. I don't know what is keeping them from knocking that wall over and taking control the way they want to play. And I'm not going to get on here and cry about the officiating. Has it been a little bit of a factor? Yeah, a little. But the Cavs knew before the series started that the Pacers were going to try to come in and physical it up. They knew it. They told you. Rick Carlisle told you. The Pacers showed you. And here we are. And when I asked the question a couple of days ago, is this Cleveland Cavalier team, is this Cleveland Cavalier franchise built? Are they tough enough to win multiple NBA playoff series? No resistance by the Miami Heat. Talk about quitters. The Miami Heat were quitters. And the Cavaliers ran into a right, a left, a right, and a left, and a shot to the midsection here, and they're doubled over. They're doubled over. Gotta find an answer. This thing could go 7. Cavs could win it, and all this would be for naught. All this discussion, all this worrying, everything could be for naught. If they win the series and they go to the Eastern Conference Finals against whoever. Could be the Celtics, but doubtful. Could be the Knicks. But you got to start with one. Got to walk before you crawl. You got to crawl before you run. You got to run before you sprint. That's where the Cavs are at tonight. We're coming up on 3:37 here on the Sam Bourquin Show. We'll take a break. 330-821-1310. You can watch us on the Q92 Radio YouTube channel. You can listen to us on the live stream at AM1310WDPN.com. Much more to come. Stay with us, everybody.
Now, the latest area news on AM 1310 WDPN. Here's Mark Johnson's forecast on AM 1310 WDPN.
Staying warm for your Tuesday afternoon, 72 degrees, but better grab the umbrella. We got some widely scattered showers and storms moving in. Overnight rain and thunder here and there, mainly before midnight with a low of 59. I am Mark J. Weather. Have a great day.
Music and intelligence for your life.
No matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world.
I'm John Tesh, and we couldn't be happier about bringing you intelligence for your life every day. We have a room full of researchers gathering the information and ideas you need to make your life simpler and better, and to make you the smartest person in the room. Join me for Music and Intelligence for Your Life, 10 to 3, Monday through Saturday, only on AM 1310 WDPN.
You heard it on the John Tesh Radio Show. Looking to launch a career in the skilled trades but don't know where to begin? Part-time service in the Ohio Army National Guard can help. You can kickstart your career by enlisting in one of our many trades-based jobs. Get paid to learn these skills and gain on-the-job training when you report to your unit 1 weekend a month or 2 weeks in the summer. To learn how the Guard can pay for your civilian trade certification, visit nationalguard.com/OH. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard in coordination with the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
America's hunters and target shooters, along with firearm, ammunition, and archery manufacturers, have invested more than $46 billion to help state fish and wildlife agencies manage and protect wildlife and wildlands across America. For more information, visit outdoorstewards.org.
In classrooms across the country, chronic absenteeism is on the rise.
Sophia A., grade 4, absent. Julio M., grade 6, absent.
Aisha S., grade 12, absent.
These absences are often due to the absence of crucial needs, like transportation, healthcare, a working computer, mental health support. The list goes on.
Olivia H., absent. Preston L., absent.
Chloe B., absent.
The reasons why they're absent are very real, and yet the solution is someone present to help them along their path. When site coordinators from communities and schools are on hand, they connect kids to the resources they need. And when they do, 99% of students are present and remain in school throughout the year.
Jacob O., grade 10, present.
Communities and Schools works directly with students, helping them overcome obstacles to succeed in school and in life. Learn more at communitiesinschools.org. Being present matters.
Possibilities are all around us. Everywhere we look, we see opportunity in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world that we call home. Like transforming an old bus to feed hungry children, or providing life-saving equipment to those who need it most. From fighting disease to rebuilding schools, together we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved today at rotary.org/action.
In classrooms across the country, chronic absenteeism is on the rise.
Sophia A., grade 4, absent. Julio M., grade 6, absent.
Aisha S., grade 12, absent.
These absences are often due to the absence of crucial needs, like transportation, healthcare, a working computer, mental health support. The list goes on.
Olivia H., absent. Preston L., absent.
Chloe B., absent.
The reasons why they're absent are very real, and yet the solution is someone present to help them along their path. When site coordinators from communities and schools are on hand, they connect kids to the resources they need. And when they do, 99% of students are present and remain in school throughout the year.
Jacob O., grade 10, present.
Communities and Schools works directly with students, helping them overcome obstacles to succeed in school and in life. Learn more at communitiesinschools.org. Being present matters.
With love I will build a wonderful thing that makes this life better for you and for me.
For 100 years and counting, Shriners Hospitals for Children has been creating wonderful opportunities for children in need. This life-changing medical care helps them do the things they've always dreamed of. Shriners Hospitals for Children has done so much for me and so many other kids. I can dance. I can play games with my friends.
Because of Shriners Hospitals for Children, I have no limits, and I'm doing more than what I ever thought possible.
To find out more about how children in need are being helped every day, go to loveshriners.org today.
This is the Sam Bourquin Show on AM 1310 WDPN.
And welcome back to the program, 1310 WDPN, streaming live, AM1310WDPN.com. Again, we're going to be with you until 6 o'clock tonight. Coming up a little bit later on from the Columbus Dispatch, covers the Buckeye basketball program, a little state of the program, if you will. Adam Jardy will join us. We're going to have Perry wrestling coach Dan Genetin coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, and we got some other great stuff coming your way as well. Cavs, Pacers tonight. Cavs lose, they're done. Nobody wants to see that, right? Not yet. Not yet. All right, let's break this series down a little bit. Let's break this game down a little bit tonight. One of my favorite local coaches, known him for quite a long time, the head basketball coach of the Cavaliers of Walsh University. JY, Jeff Young, joining us here on 1310 WDPN. Coach JY, how you doing this afternoon?
Pretty good, Sam. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good, man. Thank you for being patient and coming on to talk a little bit today. So let me put you in Jeff Young, Kenny Atkinson mode. You're down 3-1, best of 7. You're coming back home. Obviously, the mindset is get this win, but it's a lot more complicated than that sometimes, isn't it?
Well, I think it is. But like you said, Sam, though, I think, if you win this one, then you're just thinking, okay, all we have to do is win one in Indy, and we're in pretty good shape because we're not losing a Game 7 at home. Now, with that being said, I mean, they have their hands full after what happened the other night. So, I think as long as they're healthy, I think Donovan's probably going to play tonight. But they have to guard better. They have to play a little more physical, and they have to make shots. I mean, if you're not making shots, it's hard to beat anybody.
Jeff, I was a little, I wouldn't say worried, but I was a little apprehensive with the matchup against Indiana. I was really kind of pulling for Milwaukee, to be honest with you, to win that series. Something about Indiana gives us fits. I don't know if it's the physicality, it's the way they whip the ball around the perimeter. Are they hungrier than us right now? What have you seen?
Well, I agree with that. I would have rather played Milwaukee than Indiana, just based on what I saw all year with Indiana, because they have some length and they play pretty physical, and when they make shots, they're hard to beat. I think one of the things that hurt the Cavs, it looked like Milwaukee was going to beat Indiana, and I don't know what it was, game 4 or 5, and then Indiana would have had to travel to Milwaukee for another game in a couple more days, and they pulled that game out down 7 with less than a minute to go. They got to rest a little bit, so I think it didn't start on a good foot for the Cavs as far as the first couple games, and then I was just disappointed that those 3 guys sat out in game 2. I mean, that's a game you have to win. You lose 2 at home, the odds go down greatly that you can win the series in 7. And then they turn around and play 2 days later. So I don't know. I mean, who knows the extent of those injuries, but in my mind, if you're playing 2 days later and you're in the playoffs, you certainly could have played. I mean, there's a number of guys in my mind that would have played that game in game 2.
Yep. I think we could probably both name 10 between us. We could name 10 guys that would be out there.
Sure.
And that's a little worrisome, but I guess you got to move past that at some point, because now you're looking at a game 5 at home. Again, your favorite to win the game and move on to game 6. I was listening to Charles Barkley the other night. He says that if the Cavaliers win tonight, then the pressure quadruples on Indiana when they go home, because they more or less, JY, they have to win a game 6 or they may not get out of the round. Sound about right?
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's all the pressure's back on them to win at home, because like I said, I just don't see the Cavs losing a game 7 at home with, obviously you had to win 2 in a row with a lot of momentum going into that game 7. So if they can find a way to win tonight, I like their chances, but again, their confidence has to be wavering a little bit after what happened the other night.
Jeff Young is our guest, outstanding head basketball coach at Walsh University. We're talking a little Cavs Pacers here, and we'll get into his basketball program coming up here in a minute on 1310 WDPN. JY, last night, I'm sure you saw or heard about the Jason Tatum injury, tore his Achilles, and he's not only done for the year, but could be done for quite a while. And who knows with the Boston salary cap situation, this may be the last time you see this team the way it's constructed now because of all the financial issues that are going to maybe gobble them up as far as the cap and everything else. As a coach, and you see the heartbeat of your team go down like that, and you know he's not coming back, what is your message to your team and your guys and your staff?
Well, when something like that happens, it's like a gut punch. You feel bad for the player that it happened to, for starters. And then you just can't replace a Jason Tatum. Guys can step up for one game, but over the course of whether it's a 5-game or 7-game series, it's your chance of winning without your best player go down tremendously. So, yeah, it's sad to see that happen. I was actually rooting for the Knicks just because I like the way they play. They play with some toughness. I really like Brunson. He kind of just makes them go, and he's not the most skilled player, but he kind of just wills that team to win. Sometimes I don't know how he ends up with 40 points, but it seems like he does in big games every time he's out there. I have a lot of respect for the way he plays.
Yeah, he is one of my favorites. The Dallas Mavericks got to be kicking themselves for letting him go a couple years ago.
Think so.
Oh my gosh,
no doubt about it.
Oh, he's just he's a guy you want in the foxhole. He really is. He's that kind of a player. So, if the Cavaliers, Jeff, would somehow win this series, and it looks like the Knicks are going to win their series, going in, would you rather see a Cavs Celtics, both teams completely healthy, or a Cavs Knicks, both teams completely healthy?
Well, I'm a big Cavs fan, so I'd rather see them play the Knicks than the Celtics. I was talking to my younger son. He's like, Dad, if we can win this, we have the Knicks, and maybe, who knows, Denver. Finals, which no one would expect either one of those two teams. But, the Knicks are physical, and that certainly, hurts the Cavs, I think, physical play.
Yep.
But, the Celtics are so talented. And when they're healthy and they're clicking, I don't think anybody can beat them. But, I think Cavs got to win the night first.
Yeah, that's just it. So Spider's just been, I think he's really played his rear end off, and he's become an elite, or one of the most elite players in the NBA. And you're probably going to need between 32 and 36 tonight, maybe a little more, for the Cavaliers to win. And I've been waiting for somebody to not only step up, Jeff, but to extra step up and take a little bit of the burden off of Donovan, especially the last couple of minutes of quarters. Who is that guy in your mind? Who does it need to be tonight, and who does it need to be, hopefully, Game 6 and maybe a Game 7?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, Sam. And I think if you look over the course of the Cavs season, when they've won big against good teams, Donovan's only getting, maybe 25 or 30, and he's not taking as many shots. Now, I know the playoffs are a whole different ball game, a whole different animal. And, he's had to go get buckets for them to win, and he has. Tough shot after tough shot, getting to the rim and all that stuff. But, I think you need a couple guys to step up. And things seem to just kind of fall into place when you're making shots, and the Cavs haven't been able to do that. Obviously, you're going to point to Ty Jerome, who just can't throw it in the ocean right now. And, when you're getting 20 and 10 out of him, 10 assists, everything changes. But they've done a good job of being physical with him, and they're up in him, and he can't get to the rim or can't get to his spots, and he's lost a little confidence shooting that 3 ball, and all of a sudden, he goes from averaging 14 or 15 to 2 or 3, and that kills the Cavs.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's like, what happened? Where did that guy go? There were a couple of the NBA people on the ESPN, TNT, and whatever said that the playoff athleticism from the other guys has hurt Ty Jerome. He hasn't been able to kick it up into that next gear. Are you seeing that too, or no?
No, I'd agree with that. I mean, everybody says the playoffs is a different game. Rosters shrink. It gets more physical. Guys care more, obviously, and the regular season is so long. You just can't go 100% for 82 games. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's caught up in some of that because he's not the most athletic player, but he's so smart. I mean, he's like a Larry Bird throwback player that just kind of knows how to navigate and get to his spots. But every shot he's taken, whether it's, in the paint or his three ball, has been short. So I think he's lost a little bit of his legs, and he's lost some confidence for sure. So, if he can make a couple buckets early, I think that changes everything for the Cavs.
Yeah, I think so too. Jeff Young is our guest head coach of the Walsh Cavaliers, breaking down Cavs Pacers. We're going to flip over here and talk about the Walsh Cavaliers now, as they're in not quite the height of the off season, but trying to just kind of put a capper on last year and get ready for a new season. And I'll tell you what, you have got a dynamic. I'm not sure how much you're allowed to talk about recruits, and I'm not sure what the rules are here, but wow, the recruiting class that you've brought in, especially in a local area with a local flavor, second to none. If you could speak on that a little bit, as much as you can.
Yeah, Sam, I'm excited to see what happens with this group. I had to kind of figure something out because I'm losing too many guys. Just kill the program. When you lose your best player every year that, goes to Division I, it's just hard to find a way, to replace those kids. It's almost like when Tatum gets hurt, he's out of the game for the Celtics. What do you do? But I've always thought that, my backyard is where my best players have come from over the course of the last 30 years at Walsh. And for whatever reason, this class just seemed to have the guys that we like, skilled guys, good kids, work hard, love the game. It's just kind of everything fell into place once we were able to sign the Gross kid in the fall. So, yeah, it's I don't know how it's going to play out. I'm probably going to redshirt a couple of them, depending how the fall goes. But I'm just excited for all their futures, and I hope they can kind of stay together and play for 3 or 4 years and just kind of see where it takes us.
It seemed like, and I watched the progress of the recruiting classes, whether it's Mount, Walsh, Akron, Kent, whatever. And I like to see, okay, who was the first guy, and then the next domino and the next domino. And it seemed like your dominoes just were falling at a perfect spot with who you were getting, the programs they were coming from, the kind of basketball, the kind of character that they have. And it just seemed like it was a perfect situation, a perfect way of things that fell in for you.
Well, and I agree with that, Sam. And a lot of these kids played AAU ball together for 3, 4, 5 years. And you almost have to back up another year. And it kind of started with Hayden Nigro. We signed him the year prior. Now, unfortunately for him, he's had a back injury where he had the redshirt last year. But him and Braden Gross have been really good friends for the last few years. And I think that kind of gave us an edge over some other schools when Braden was trying to decide where he was going to play his college basketball. So, that was helpful. And once we signed Braden and some other kids were having pretty good years, like you said, the dominoes just kind of fell into place.
Jeff Young is our guest head coach of the Walsh Cavaliers here on the Sam Bourquin Show, 1310 WDPN. A couple more, and we'll let you go, and I appreciate you coming on today. You mentioned, guys transferring out, and I know coaches are they're pulling their hair out all over the country with recruiting a new class, re-recruiting guys to stay in your program and not let them leave. And the ketchup's out of the bottle now. So I don't know what can be done or how you handle that as a coach, as an administrator, as an athletic director. I don't know what the answer is there, but is it going to get better at some point for the coaches, or is this just going to be a continuing uphill battle year after year after year?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get better for the coaches. I just don't see, like you said, the cat's out of the bag. I don't know how you put it back in. And for the players, good for them. Guys are getting taken care of a little bit better, and they certainly have a lot of leverage based on how they play. I think that's a good thing. I don't know how you kind of corral it and get a set of rules that works for everybody involved. And at this point, I don't even know if that's possible. But you have to be able to adjust, and we're kind of selling it a little bit. A lot of our guys have had a ton of success at the Division I level.
Mm-hmm.
So we're telling them, come for a couple years, see what happens, get better, and if the opportunity presents itself, then we'll support it and get you where you want to go. That's not how I would like to have it work. For 15 years, I knew who was on my roster from year to year. Now you have no idea.
Yeah.
But if you get good kids that, kind of know the program, know the area, want to be at home, I think that's helpful. And that's why our recruiting class is going to be crucial for us moving forward.
Well, I know a lot of people, myself and a lot of people are hoping that this group that you brought in, whether they get redshirted a year or not or whatever, that they get a chance to grow together, physically, mentally, spiritually, all those good things. And if you're lucky enough, Coach, to have these guys, 3-4 years, I think, wow. I mean, there could be a real special package to open up there at the end. But I guess you got to go 1 year at a time. But I think you're on your way. I appreciate you coming on today. Thank you for being patient earlier on, and we'll see if the Cavs can get a dub tonight and keep this thing rolling. What do you say?
Well, I agree, Sam, and I appreciate you having me on. I got the Cavs by 8 tonight, so let's see what happens.
You must be talking with the experts out there in the Pacific time zone.
Is that the line?
Well, I'd say you're right on it. You're right on it.
I see it.
JY.
Okay.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it.
There he goes. Jeff Young, the head basketball coach of Walsh University, joining us today to talk a little hoops. Cleveland Cavs and Walsh Cavs. All right, that was fun. All right, we're going to take a break. We got the news coming up here at the top of the hour. We got your weather. Get you all squared away there, and 2 more big hours to go here on the Sam Bourquin Show. Only here on AM 1310 WDPN. Stream it live at AM1310WDPN.com.
Keeping Alliance entertained and informed for over a half a century. AM 1310 WDPN Alliance.
I'm Michelle Franzen. Demonstrations today as a House committee takes up the Republican budget resolution package. Key programs, including Medicaid, could be slashed.
Opponents say the House GOP package would grow the ranks of the uninsured by more than 13 million. Several protesters in wheelchairs tried to block access to one hearing focused on finding savings in the Medicaid program for the poor. Meanwhile, a handful of GOP moderates rejected the drafters' proposal to raise the cap on the state and local tax deduction from $10,000 to $30,000 for middle-income earners.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. At an economic forum in Saudi Arabia, President Trump announcing a $600 billion Saudi commitment to invest in U.S. businesses. The president also says the U.S. plans to lift sanctions against Syria under its new government. A day after Hamas freed American hostage Idan Alexander from Gaza, his family says he's at a hospital in Tel Aviv for evaluation and has plans to return to his home in New Jersey soon. This is ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Now, The latest Alliance area news from Jeff Mears on AM 1310 WDPN.
Good afternoon. It's 4:02. Canton police say the parents wanted for the death of their 3-year-old son are in custody. 42-year-old Demetrius Givens and 37-year-old Jamie Thompson of Canton turned themselves in today and were booked at the Stark County Jail. Police obtained warrants charging them with involuntary manslaughter and endangering children Friday, but could not find the couple. Officers were called to the 3100 block of Gilbert Circle Northeast 4 days earlier about a boy found in his bed not breathing. Thompson told a 911 dispatcher her son had medical issues and had been in and out of the hospital. Medics took the child to Mercy Hospital, where he died a short time later. A Monday afternoon incident in Massillon that drew the attention of police and the Canton Regional SWAT team turns fatal. Officers were called to a home in the 1000 block of 3rd Street Northeast where a welfare check around 5 p.m. Police say a 34-year-old man was found to be in distress. They offered help, and the SWAT team was called in after the situation escalated. The man attempted to take his own life about 2 hours after the initial call. SWAT team members and Massillon firefighters provided care, and he was taken to a local hospital. The man later died of unspecified injuries. Police have not released his name. Canton City Council has approved legislation allowing ASM Global to take over management of Centennial Plaza. The company also oversees the Civic Center. Under the measure approved Monday, ASM Global assumes management of the downtown venue immediately. The repository reports the city will not pay the company any additional fee to manage the plaza, which opened in 2021. ASM Global will receive 10% of all marketing revenue. The Pro Football Hall of Fame previously managed Centennial Plaza. The change is being made in the hopes of bringing more entertainment, more visitors, and ticketed events to the city-owned venue. A jury view request has been submitted to Columbiana County Common Pleas Court by the defense attorney of a man accused in a fatal shooting in East Liverpool. 35-year-old Elvin Tisdale and his brother Alan are charged with aggravated murder in the 2021 shooting death of Bryson Douglas of East Liverpool. The defense attorney wants jurors at his client's trial to see locations connected to the case. They are the defendant's home in Newell, West Virginia, the Newell and Chester Bridges, 3 cell towers the defendant allegedly passed, and Kuntz Avenue and Campground Road. The purpose is to show that the distance between Elvin's home and the location of the shooting doesn't reflect the alleged drive of the co-defendant and others, among other reasons. The request will be reviewed by the court. A crash involving an all-terrain vehicle seriously injured a man in Columbiana County. The wreck occurred Saturday night on Steubenville Pike Road, north of Route 518. The Highway Patrol says passing motorists found 41-year-old Jim Show with the vehicle just before 8:30. They performed CPR until EMS arrived. Show was flown to St. Elizabeth Health Center in Youngstown, where he is on life support. His home is reportedly near the crash site. Patrol is continuing to investigate. The cause of the crash is unknown. Sebring Village Council has agreed to purchase microphones for the police department's dash cams. A motion for the $2,500 expense was approved Monday. The microphones will allow conversations outside of cruisers to be recorded. The village is pursuing a state grant to obtain body cameras. Council also approved an ordinance allowing the village manager to purchase water meters from Cincinnati-based Nico Water. The water department will use them to monitor usage at commercial properties. The cost will not exceed $55,000. Sentencing is scheduled July 8th for an Austintown man who pleaded guilty to child pornography charges. 73-year-old Robert Casey entered the plea today in Mahoning County Common Pleas Court to 5 counts of pandering obscenity involving a minor. 10 pandering counts were dismissed. Prosecutors are recommending 5 years in prison. Casey must also register as a Tier 2 sex offender after release. He was secretly indicted in March. A tip to the Mahoning Valley Human Trafficking Task Force led to an investigation. A search of Casey's home revealed child sex abuse material on several electronic devices. A man charged in a 1992 murder in Austintown will appear for a competency hearing Thursday. The case of 55-year-old Samuel Legg will be heard by Common Pleas Judge John Durkin. The former truck driver is charged with aggravated murder in the slaying of Sharon Kadzierski, who was found dead outside a truck stop. The coroner later concluded she had been beaten to death. Legg was arrested in 2019. DNA was used to connect Legg to the 1996 murder and rape of a kidnapping victim in Wood County. A judge last week found him not competent to stand trial in that case. He also was linked to a 1997 killing in Illinois. The Austintown murder was added to a database in 2012. Legg was previously ruled not competent to stand trial in that case 3 times, most recently in 2023. A man is being held without bond in the Trumbull County Jail after pleading not guilty to aggravated drug trafficking and possession charges. 48-year-old Darius Simmons of Warren was arraigned Monday. He was arrested after Warren police found a shoebox inside his car. It reportedly contained suspected narcotics, which tested positive for fentanyl and drug paraphernalia. The investigation began after Simmons showed up at St. Joseph Hospital Saturday night with a gunshot wound. Officers also discovered multiple bullet holes in the vehicle. It's 69 degrees in Alliance at 407. This is the local edition of WDPN News. Mark Johnson's forecast is up next, a service of Canterbury Villa of Alliance. I'm Jeff Mears.
Meteorologist Mark Johnson has the latest forecast on AM 1310 WDPN.
This WDPN weather is brought to you by Canterbury Villa of Alliance, where your loved ones become family. Schedule a free visit today by calling 330-821-4000. All right, for your Tuesday afternoon, some widely scattered rain, maybe a rumble of thunder. Our high 72 degrees. Overnight scattered rain and thunder mostly before midnight. Our low 59. I am Mark J. Weather. Have a great Tuesday.
Send your loved ones to a place that cares and a place that they can trust. They'll find a place that feels like home at Canterbury Villa in Alliance. They will provide the highest level of care to their residents when it comes to skilled nursing, rehabilitation, long-term care, and Alzheimer's care. At Canterbury Villa, your loved ones become family. Located on Freshley Avenue, schedule a free visit today by calling 330-821-4000 and ask for Samantha Nutter. At Canterbury Villa, they walk the talk.
Looking for a fun-filled way to celebrate the spring season? Head to Springfest at Spring Hill Historic Home in Massillon this Saturday, May 17th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. This all-ages event is packed with something for everyone. Over 20 artisan and craft vendors, tasty eats from D3K Dogs and Boba Tea-licious, live music from the Canal Street Ramblers and Maddie Starr, plus crafts, games, and a scavenger hunt. Tour the historic 1821 farmhouse and don't miss the t-shirt printing bar by Sassy Mama Creative Designs. Shop unique finds from favorites like the Red Geranium, Molly B's Candle Company, A Wandering Palette, and Ebb the Creator, just to name a few. Admission is $10 for adults, $5 for youth ages 6 to 12, and free for kids 5 and under. Get your tickets now on Eventbrite. And your love of all things spring to Spring Hill Historic Home this Saturday, 11 to 4.
Do you have trouble getting in and out of the bathtub? Are you afraid you'll slip and fall entering or exiting a tub? Safe Step walk-in tubs can transform your bathtub from an area of concern to a calming refuge. Call them today at 1-800-498-2098 and save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs and showers are proudly made in Tennessee and offer an ultra-low step-in, avoiding that difficult climb over a traditional bathtub wall. They also offer a variety of therapeutic benefits that may help soothe your aching muscles and joints, increasing your mobility, boosting your energy, and improving your sleep. Safe Step walk-in tubs are designed to easily fit your existing tub space and are often installed in as little as one day. Just dial 1-800-498-2098 today to save $1,600 and receive a free shower package. That's 1-800-498-2098 for a free no-obligation consultation and to save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs. Safety never felt so good.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for the... And there they go, almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Live from the AM 1310 WDPN studio, it's time for live and local sports talk. It's the Sam Bourquin Show.
I'm ready.
Give the show a call at 330-821-1310.
Good call, meatball.
Watch the Sam Bourquin Show on the AM 1310 Facebook page, the Q92 YouTube page, and on X. This is the Sam Bourquin Show on AM 1310 WDPN.
Jose's off. Pitch is high. Throw down. Bounced. Not in time. Ramirez with his 10th stolen base of the year.
And that's why it was safe.
Jose's running for third. Here's the throw. It's not in time. And Ramirez went in there. He almost upended Durbin, the third baseman. Center field. Churio racing back, still going back, and makes. No, he didn't make the catch. Ramirez scores. Santana scores. Here comes Bo. It's a 3-run double with 2 outs for Gabriel Arias.
Runs and drives inside, kicks it out, Ananobi. Wide open three-pointer. It's good! Hart in the front court. Hart the drive, gets to the Rams. Bang shot, it's good! 2.5 remaining.
The second pick will be made by the San Antonio Spurs, and that means that the number 1 pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
Fix. Rig. Manipulated. Oh, NBA, we gotta love you. You're getting as bad as the NFL now. Just doing things in broad daylight. Wow. Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Sam Bourquin Show. Calm down, Sammy. Calm down. Phones are open. 330-821-1310. That's 330-821-1310. You can text the show at 330-924-7088. All right. Phone line working. Text line working. Here we go. Going to be with you till 6 o'clock tonight here on the show. I want to thank JY, Jeff Young, head basketball coach at Walsh University, for joining us in the first hour. Talking a little Cavs Pacers, a little Walsh hoops, and how he's trying to handle the NIL/transfer portal/ craziness that's going on. Is if you're a coach in college now, I don't care what, we had Mike Fuline on a couple of days ago. I don't care what level you're coaching at. I don't care if it's NAIA. Okay. I don't care if it's at Southwest, Northeast Oklahoma Baptist, or I don't care if it's at Villanova. Coaches now are just, you've seen what it's done. It's driven a lot of the great coaches out of the game. I can't do it anymore. Jay Wright left Villanova. Roy leaves North Carolina. A couple of other, a tip of my tongue that D1 coaches have said, you know what, this is not what I signed up for. I'm done. I'm out. And you're seeing that. You're seeing that all over the place. But we're actually going to talk a little Buckeye basketball coming up. Adam Jardy from the Columbus Dispatch does a great job as the beat writer of the Ohio State Buckeye basketball team. He's going to be joining us at 4:35 this afternoon, 4:40. Little state of the address for the Buckeye basketball program. They've been going through some stuff, okay? And, with the new AD in there now, Ross Bjork, and some coaches might be on the little bit of a slippery slope. We'll see. An Ohio State women's coach yesterday, I think got nailed for driving under the influence. Gee whiz. Just a lot of stuff going on there. But Adam Jardy is going to join us. We're going to see what's up with the Buckeye basketball program, recruiting class, NIL, transfer portal. What's they're trying to do some things with the Schottenstein Center to make it more fan-friendly for Buckeye hoops. We're going to get into all that with Adam coming up here in about an hour from now. Dan Genetin, the new wrestling coach at Perry, is going to join us at around 5:35 today, as he got the nod to take over for Coach Brent McBurney. And you know how important wrestling is in the PTO. We'll talk to Dan Genetin, the new coach, coming up here at around 5:35 today. All right, Cavs and Pacers coming up tonight, 7 o'clock or a little bit after Game 5 at Rocket Arena. Cavs an 8-point favorite. Some books have it down to 7.5. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Jason Tatum tears his Achilles last night. He is done for the year, done for a while now, and the Boston Celtics could be cooked as well. Knicks just got to win one more now. They'll move into the Eastern Conference Finals. Boy, who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? And if you're a Cavs fan, I mean, you got to be sick. You're down 3-1. The team that you thought you were going to meet in the Eastern Conference Finals, and you probably were expecting a knockdown, drag-out, heavyweight fight, street fight, you name it, against the Boston Celtics. And now, if you're a Cavs fan, hey, Celtics could be just swept right out of the way. And you'd have the Knicks again, but it would be a very tough series. I still think the Knicks are tougher than the Cavs. I do. Tell me I'm wrong. But I don't think they're as talented as the Boston Celtics. But the Cavs could be looking at, we got the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Obviously, you'd still have home court. But we'll see. Cavs got to win tonight. They got to win 3 more. They're down 3-1. We saw this movie before in 2016 with much, much higher stakes. But don't get it twisted here. If the Cavaliers get gentlemanly swept out of the playoffs, there are going to be some very tough questions. There's going to be some very tough questions being asked in Cleveland and all over the NBA. If the Cavaliers lose tonight, I would not want to be Kenny Atkinson. I sure as hell wouldn't want to be Kobe Altman. I'll tell you that right now. It could get ugly quick. Could get ugly quick. So it would behoove the Cavaliers to come out tonight and keep this season alive and get to a Game 6 Friday in Indiana. Then you put the pressure on the Pacers. What does pressure do? It bursts pipes. The Pacers will be nice and tight on Friday. Trust me. Trust me on that. And you go in there, you get that one, you come back home for Game 7, and you let the cards. You go with the cards you're dealt. But again, one at a time. All right, the latest odds are out to win the Eastern Conference, to win the Western Conference, and to win the NBA Finals. Odds to win the West. Oklahoma City minus 190. The Timberwolves are plus 240. The Nuggets are plus 800. So Vegas is telling you that Oklahoma City should just skate right in to the NBA Finals. To win the Eastern Conference, the New York Knicks are plus 120. The Pacers are minus 200 now. The Cavaliers are plus 450. And the Boston Celtics now are at plus 850. Now, to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy, to win the whole shooting match, Oklahoma City plus 100. The Knicks come in next at plus 500, followed by Minnesota at plus 600. Indiana plus 900. The Cavaliers are plus 1,000. 1,000 to win the NBA title. Nuggets are plus 1,600. Boston now is plus 3,000, and Golden State is plus 15,000. Okay? So follow the money, follow the odds, connect the dots. This sheet that I'm looking at now is screaming at me saying Oklahoma City versus the Knicks for the finals in the NBA. That's what this sheet is telling me right now. Doesn't always go that way, but most of the time it does. Come on, Cavs. I'm not ready for my ride to end on the wine and gold train. Not ready for that to be stopped yet. All right, our Sam Bourquin Show poll question of the day. You can take it on X at AM1310, WDPN at Q92 Sports, or at Sam Bourquin 16. Today's poll question is, in your opinion, what is the best era for sports? What was the best era for sports? 1970s? 1980s? Was it the 90s or 2000s to current? Let us know. You can also call the show. Let us know there at 330-821-1310. Got some good responses here on the social media. Doug Kreiner says 80s and 90s both were great for the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, boxing. Tiger bringing golf to the masses. He says, I would go 80s and 90s were the golden era of sports. That's a great post. Joe Volpe says 70s, one of the best times in my life playing sports with a bunch of great guys in high school. I'll never forget it. Tommy Michaelides, he says the 80s for not only sports, but for music, TV, and life in general. I bet you'd get a lot of folks to agree with that. Doug Parton, great post here. Doug says, definitely the 80s, Sam, but those were also my formative years. But you have to admit, the Miracle on Ice, Celtics versus Lakers, memorable World Series, not to mention Islanders and Edmonton in the Hockey for Dynasties, the birth of Michael Jordan, Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson golfing, the Niners, the Redskins, and the Raiders. Pretty good stuff right there. Jim Kincaid says the 70s. He says, look at the NFL, Dolphins, Steelers, Cowboys. In baseball, Reds, Dodgers, Yankees, A's. NBA, Lakers, Knicks, Celtics. NHL, Canadians, Bruins. College football, Ohio State, UCLA, and Oklahoma. I would say the 70s were pretty darn good. What say you? What was the best era for sports for you? 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s, the present day? Hit us up on all the social media platforms, or you can give us a buzz at 330-821-1310. Now, I know my producer is a self-proclaimed not sports fan, not sports follower, not sports viewer, not sports nut. But as far as the eras go, for you, do you have a favorite?
You know, while you were talking about that, I was thinking about it because it can be a fascinating answer, especially depending on what sport you're talking about. Because, like, football, there was definitely a period that I'm pretty sure, I mean, obviously I wasn't around, but from what I know, the little bit I know, that like the 70s and 80s were a very iconic time for football. And then, you know, like basketball really peaked in like the 90s and early 2000s. But I think that first person was pretty right on with the 80s and 90s because that's when most sports were really hitting a lot of their strides.
Yeah,
so I think he's right.
Yeah, you look back at. I mean, I grew up. I grew up in the 70s, and when I was being introduced to sports, I knew of three things. I knew of Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And then the indoctrination with Ohio State. You know, as long as you live under this roof, you're going to root for Ohio State.
That's fair.
And I had no problem with that.
You live in Ohio. That's what you do.
And hockey really never was a big thing for me until, gosh, probably the late 80s maybe. I started paying more attention to hockey. And obviously a lot more of college sports, football, basketball, what have you. But the 70s, you know, what I remember of the 70s for football was the games that we were able to watch on TV, which were about a handful of teams is all you ever got. You got a doubleheader on CBS, a single game on NBC one Sunday, and then you would flip that around, and the opposite would be for the following Sunday. But you only got, I mean, you got the Cowboys, you got the Raiders, you got the Dolphins, you got the Steelers. Those were the four biggies. Now the Rams were very good then. Philadelphia had some pretty good teams. The Oilers had some good teams then. But when you're talking the 70s, that's what you got, and it was hardcore, borderline dirty football. Right? You remember the Raider teams of John Madden and Al Davis and guys like Jack Tatum and Ted Hendricks, Dave Dalby, Lyle Alzado, Stickum with Fred Biletnikoff and Cliff Branch, Dave Casper. I mean, it was dirty football. clotheslines, hit helmet-to-helmet hits, spearing people in the back. And by the way, they didn't even get flags thrown back then. You better been a tough son of a gun to play NFL football in the 70s. And things changed a little bit. Rules changed. Not overnight, but it took a while. And as far as I can remember, the Browns were awful in the 70s. Awful. I mean, they had the golden years with Jim Brown and Paul Brown and Frank Ryan and Paul Warfield and all those guys. But that was long gone by then. So then you go into the 80s, and the Niners, the Cowboys are still cooking. We had our fun with the Browns. We had the Cardiac Kids as we got later on into the decade. And, of course, that was washed away by the Oakland Raiders with the Red Right 88 game at Cleveland Stadium. And you go into the 90s, here come the Cowboys. They kind of ruled the roost. And then you had the Buffalo Bills that got the 4 Super Bowls and couldn't win one. But you could see the game starting to change a little bit. And then present day, NBC doesn't even do NFL football. Haven't done it since the 90s. And Fox enters the picture, and the rules changed and really favor the offense. You can't hardly even breathe on somebody without getting a penalty called. And then instant replay rears its ugly head. And it's just a whole new thing. That's just for the NFL. I mean, you could break down the NBA in the 70s. We had the miracle of Richfield with the Cavs. But, folks, the NBA was in big trouble. Big trouble. The TV ratings were awful. They couldn't market it. It was bad. It was bad. And, again, growing up in the 70s through the late 70s into the early 80s, there was only a handful of teams on TV, right? Before cable in 79, you got Lakers, Celtics, you got the Knicks, you got the Bulls once in a while. That was about it. That was it. And baseball, what'd you have? Red Sox, Yankees. Yankees, Royals. Dodgers, Yankees. That's pretty much all you had. Indians were horrible in the 70s. They were bad in the 80s. Then we turned it around. In college sports, I mean, the blue bloods in hoops, the big powerhouses in football, really not much change there. But, boy, it's a whole different world now. Kind of fun to look at, though. Reminisce a little bit and see how things have changed. And when you started watching sports, whether it was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, it's fun to get different people's perspective on it and what they liked about that certain era. That's why I thought, yeah, this will be a fun poll question to do today. So if you want to take that, 330-821-1310, the Sam Bourquin Show poll question of the day. What was your favorite era for sports? 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s to present day? You can take it on X at AM1310 WDPN, at Q92 Sports. You can also follow me as well at Sam Bourquin 16 on X or on multiple Facebook platforms as well. All right, we need to step out. Bottom of the hour news and weather coming up. On the other side, we're going to talk a little Buckeye basketball. Beat reporter from Columbus Dispatch, Adam Jardy, is going to join us as we break down the Scarlet and Gray hoops here on the Sam Bourquin Show. It's next. Stay with us on 1310.
The latest news and the current Alliance area weather forecast are up next on AM 1310 WDPN.
Good afternoon. It's 4:30. During a speech in Saudi Arabia, President Trump today urged Iran to take a new and better path as he pushes for a new nuclear deal. At a U.S.-Saudi investment conference, the president said he wants to avoid conflict with Tehran. Trump says he is willing to end previous conflicts and forge new partnerships for a better and more stable world, even when differences are profound.
If I can make a deal with Iran, I'll be very happy if we're going to make your region and the world a safer place. But if Iran's leadership rejects this olive branch and continues to attack their neighbors, then we will have no choice but to inflict massive maximum pressure, drive Iranian oil exports to zero like I did before.
The Comments came today, days after Trump dispatched his special envoy Steve Witkoff to meet with Iranian officials for more talks aimed at persuading Iran to abandon its nuclear program. Trump also says he hopes Saudi Arabia will soon join the Abraham Accords and eventually recognize Israel. The U.S. economy may be showing early effects of President Trump's tariffs on imported goods. ABC's Jim Ryan says analysts are concerned about the month-to-month rise in inflation.
The consumer price index fell 0.1% between February and March, but last month it rose 0.2. At the same time, though, the April to April figure has beaten the Wall Street consensus, rising 2.3%. More than half of last month's increase came in the housing category.
A Los Angeles judge is listening to arguments this week over whether Eric and Lyle Menendez should receive reduced sentences. The brothers have spent more than 30 years in prison for killing their parents at their Beverly Hills home in 1989. Their attorneys are expected to argue over the course of a 2-day hearing starting today that the brothers have been rehabilitated in prison and they have the support of their extended family. Prosecutors have said they oppose resentencing because the brothers have not admitted to lies told during their trial about why they killed their parents. The head of the largest health insurer in the country is stepping down. ABC's Sherry Preston has more.
United Health CEO Andrew Whitty says he's leaving for personal reasons, but his resignation comes as United faces one of the most challenging periods in its history. Since the December murder of company executive Brian Thompson, United has been sharply criticized over its coverage and denials of claims. United Health revenue topped $400 billion last year, but this year the company has suspended its full financial outlook, saying higher than expected medical costs have made predicting the financial future difficult. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
It's 68 degrees in Alliance at 4:32. This is WDPN News. I'm Jeff Mears.
Now, the Alliance Area Weather Forecast from Mark Johnson on AM 1310 WDPN.
72 warm degrees for your high today with some scattered showers and storms. Overnight rain and thunder primarily before midnight with a low of 59. Grab that umbrella. I am Art J. Weather. Have a great day.
When it comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost. I had snapped. I had a gun and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still a life to live. For the better of myself, my family, my weapon is now safely put away.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone. Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
Get on board. The water is open. It's time to go boating and fishing and leave stress in our wake. Feel the wind as we ride and a fish on the line. Reel in our first catch and feel the sun at our backs. It's get out on the water season. It's time to get on board. Find out where to get on board near you. Visit Take Me Fishing and Discover Boating to learn more. And please recreate responsibly. Get on board. Get on board.
Hey drivers, it's Ryan Blaney, your 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion and driver of the number 12 Discount Tire Ford Mustang. Do you know one of the most important things that helps keep my car going on the track? Tire pressure. Keeping your tires properly inflated is crucial for safe stopping power and better gas mileage. Check your tire pressure at least once a month or stop by a local tire retailer for an air check.
A message from the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association. You're listening to the Sam Bourquin Show on AM 1310 WDPN.
And we're back on the program, 330-821-1310. That's 330-821-1310. You can also text the program at 330-924-7088. We're going to catch up with Adam Jardy from the Columbus Dispatch coming up here in just a few minutes. Getting a great response on our poll question today. For you, what was the best era for sports? The 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s to present day? You can take the quiz on X, on Facebook. You can also dial us up at 330-821-1310. Got a good response here. My man, Aaron, says the 90s. You had great upsets with Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson. The Nuggets beat the Supersonics. Remember that? That was an 8 seed that beat a 1. Remember that with Dikembe Mutombo on the ground holding the ball up in the air? No. Also, some other good things like Ohio State winning the Rose Bowl and the Marshall Thundering Herd won 2 1AA national championships. AC, good to hear from you, man. Good stuff right there. All right, we're all set. We're going to go to the 1310 WDPN hotline, waiting for your sponsorship as we speak. Let's bring in Adam Jardy. Does a terrific job from the Columbus Dispatch covering the Ohio State men's basketball program and a lot of cool stuff involving the Scarlet and Gray. Adam, it has been a minute. How are you, my friend?
I've been well. How about yourself?
I'll tell you what, it's been a wild ride. You know how the business is, whether it's newspaper or radio or TV or whatever. It's always a wild ride, but it's great to have you on. And the reason I called you and texted you was I read your piece a couple of days ago when John Diebler kind of gave a State of the Union address on the Ohio State men's basketball program, and just a little bit of everything, and from the players to the portal to NIL to possible doing some different things with the Schottenstein Center. I said, you know what, I think I want to get a hold of Adam and I want to have that conversation. So I appreciate you coming on here today.
Yeah, sure.
As far as the Buckeye men's basketball program is concerned, when you look at it right now in May, and we are out of what happened last year, and we're several months away from getting into a new year. How do you view the Buckeye basketball program today here in May? Good, bad, in between?
I would say good. That's probably a fair word for it. I mean, it's a program that, right now is striving to get back to where we saw it when Thad Matta really had it rolling. I mean, it's been, more than a decade since Ohio State's brought home any sort of hardware. And that kind of stuff, the longer a streak like that goes on, the more I think you feel that pressure and you feel that kind of weighing things down. And so to go, 3 years now without making the tournament, that's certainly, an albatross right there for the program. And you stack that on top of, it's been a long time since they've won anything. It's a bit of a difficult time, I think. And I hear it from fans that they're tired of, being good, not great. And they want to get back to where the program used to be. And so I say all that. And I do think they're positioned pretty well for next season. I think they should be a pretty good team. And now they got to go out and win some games, but it's definitely an interesting period, I think, when we look at the history of this program.
Adam, are you kidding me? It's been 3 years in a row they have not made the tournament. It doesn't seem like it's been 3 years.
Yeah,
that's insane to me.
Yeah, it is pretty wild. I mean, and you go back and you think, like, they missed the tournament for 2 years in a row under Thad Matta, and that led to him being fired. And now here you are. You had 2 years in a row, and Chris Holtman gets fired midway through that second year. There's certainly that level of expectation is there, and I have to say, to Jake Diebler's credit, like, he's not shying from that, and he is from the minute that he got the job full time. He's talked about putting Ohio State back to where he believes it belongs, and he's been very public and open about, like, we need to be winning championships, competing for championships, and playing deep in March. Like, it's not something that they're shying away from talking about. And I did think that they took some steps this last year. They ultimately just didn't quite get far enough to make it back into the tournament.
Wow, that's amazing, because as long as I've been following Buckeye basketball, and we're having a little poll question today, and I might let you take that quiz here when we're all done, but people's favorite eras of sports, and I basically covered 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s plus, and I remember when I was growing up, I got indoctrinated to Cleveland sports and Ohio State, and Eldon Miller was the basketball coach of the Buckeyes when I started watching, and a couple of guys from Canton, Ronnie Stokes and Troy Taylor, and I just kind of fell in love with the Buckeye program moving forward. And, guys like Jimmy Jackson, and I could go on, and you're like, gosh, I just want them to, I can't tell you how excited I got the couple of times that they made the Final Four. And I thought, oh my, wow, they did it. Now they didn't finish the deal, but they got there, and it was such an exciting time. And I, like you and a lot of Buckeye fans, want them to get back there. This day and age, Adam, NIL, portal, kids going left and right. You're trying to hold on to your own kids while recruiting others. What kind of position right now are the Buckeyes in to kind of calm these crazy waters now and get where they want to go with their program?
They're in a pretty good spot. And honestly, part of the reason why I'm a little more optimistic than I think a lot of people might be about the upcoming season is I believe in the guys that they retained. And they also brought in some pieces that I think helped fill out the roster. That Ohio State's kind of had an interesting transfer portal approach the last basically since the portal started to exist, where they haven't really brought in like impact guys. It's been like, hey, let's find guys that fit. Let's find guys that can, help our young guys grow. And that really hasn't worked. And that's part of why you've seen Ohio State miss the tournament the last 2 years. And so, you start this year, you have a team with a Bruce Thornton as a fourth-year guy, and then a Devin Royal and a John Mobley. And then you start adding in some of these transfer portal pieces. And I think they've been able to navigate it all pretty well this year. And the thing that is very interesting, like covering this sport and writing about transfers and rosters as you go through March and April and May, is, and Jake Diebler said this when I interviewed him for that piece that you mentioned. He said, retention's not sexy. So
right.
Time of year, like everyone's talking about, like Michigan got basically the number one transfer in the country, in Yaxel Luxembourg. And I might be butchering his name. I apologize for that. But like, it made a huge splash. Like, Michigan gets this guy. He's committed to Michigan. He's also in the draft, going through the draft process. He's probably never going to play for Michigan.
Right.
But that's generated all this positive, hype for the Wolverines and for Dusty May. And when Ohio State retains a Bruce Thornton, it just doesn't get the same buzz. And so I do think, like I said, I think this year Ohio State's done a pretty decent job of hanging on to the guys that it wanted to hang on to, and also bringing in a couple of guys that they think will help and will play big roles this year.
Adam Jardy is our guest, outstanding beat writer for the Buckeye basketball team, does his magic at the Columbus Dispatch. Check him out on all your favorite social media platforms. Adam Jardy, Jardy. Adam, Ross Bjork has been in charge now for a very little while, very small sample size, but we know he is not afraid to shake things up, to make decisions, and trying to be creative and adding to the quote-unquote collective, if you will, for Buckeye sports. What does that look like for the basketball program, and what kind of a role do you think Ross will play in the Buckeyes trying to make things a little more sexy, a little more appealing for people that want to come down to Columbus and put on that scarlet and gray basketball uniform?
Well, I do think it's a good thing to have a new set of eyes and a new perspective in that seat looking at the program, because I think we can all remember it wasn't that long ago that, it was hard to get a ticket to a basketball game, and the Schottenstein Center was a desirable place to go watch a game. It was state of the art. It was new. It was big. It was all these things. And, we're 26, 27 years into this building now. And the allure has worn off. And you factor in like all the things, like people watch sports from home. COVID taught us that we can do that. You have to park down the street, take a bus. Like, there's a lot of things about the shot that leave you lacking, or leave you wanting, I should say. And I'm very interested to get Ross's thoughts here this off season. And I'm setting something up with him hopefully soon to dive into this, because men's basketball is the number 2 moneymaker for Ohio State athletics, behind football, obviously. And so, it's never going to make the kind of money that football does, but you want to be maximizing the dollars that you can maximize where you can. And clearly they haven't done that very well when it comes to men's basketball these last several years. And so winning is part of that. I think that's certainly like the mediocrity the last couple of years hasn't helped, but there's definitely, they need to be looking at some sort of in-arena adjustments and ways they can improve just that overall experience, because the attendance says it doesn't lie. And the people going, then you got a problem.
Yeah, I want to. That's where I want to. That was where I was headed next. Was the Schottenstein Center. I've been down there many times for Buckeye games, for high school games. And I can't believe I can't believe it's as old. It is as old. It is. I can't believe St. John Arena is so far in the rearview mirror now. But I guess we're all getting old. But the experience there it's not what you want in person. It doesn't really translate well through the television screen. And I don't know whose fault that is. It doesn't matter at this point. You got to make some changes. What can you possibly do there outside of, build a new arena for basketball and find a place to put that with all the parking mess and everything? And what can you do, Adam? I know the place holds over 19,000. You probably only need about a 14,000 seat, maybe 15 seat arena. Texas has done that. The other schools have done that. What do you do? I mean, to make it more you want to make it to where when you see it on TV, you want to, that's it. I'm going to the next home game no matter what. How do we get there?
Well, I think it starts with you just have to make the in-arena experience better. Because, like, you're right. Like, they're not going to bulldoze the arena and build a new one and, waving a magic wand and wishing that you could have a 13,000-seat arena. That's not going to happen. You're stuck with this building as it is. It's designed to do all these other things, and so that's why it's not great at anything. It's fine for a basketball game. It's fine for a concert. It's fine for graduation. It's not great for anything, but it's big, and it does make the university money. So the thing that I think that they need to start with is just like all the other little things that add up to bigger things. Like I mentioned, you got to pay to park in a lot that's 3/4 of a mile down the road and take a bus to get it. Yeah. That stinks. Yeah. And I don't know what the solution is, but figure that out. You go to the games, and I've heard this from so many fans the last several years, especially. Like, it's deafening in there with the PA system. You have announcers screaming at you. You have commercials that are these games in between every timeout. Like, you're constantly being directed to, like, hey, watch this game, and they're screaming at these people on the court to do this thing, and it's a timeout, and it's like you can't have a conversation to the person sitting next to you because it is just so loud. Yep. And then you factor in all the other stuff, like, it's big. It's never full. The team hasn't been on fire the last couple of years. Like, you factor all that stuff in, and it just becomes an less desirable environment to be a part of. And so I think if you fix some of those little things, just like make it a more organic fan experience. Like, don't shout at people all the time. Make it more welcome.
I love it.
As simple as that might sound, I think that stuff would go, a pretty long way. And then if they start winning some games, we have seen that the last couple of years. Like when Chris Holtman did have things rolling, like the attendance was ticking back up, even with all these things working against it. And so if they win and if they tweak a couple of things here and there, absent wholesale changes, it would all add up. I think it would be a better experience.
Adam, I got to tell you what, and I'm laughing because I am there with you. I can't tell you how many times the last couple of years I've been in my car, and I love listening to Paul and Ronnie do the games. Yes. I think you're second to none. And there could be a day where there's maybe 6,000-7,000 people in the building, and the PA announcer is roaring at a fever pitch when the score's like 8-6 on a made basket. I'm like, what are we doing? This is, my ears are bleeding in the car right now. I can't take it.
Yeah, and honestly, it starts from the minute you walk in the arena. I mean, they do, they'll have a DJ going and they've got music playing and all these things trying to make it like a Game 7 of the NBA Finals atmosphere. And what happens is, like, if you get there 45 minutes before the game, you want to sit there, maybe watch some warm-ups, sit there with your buddy, have a beer, like, you can't have a conversation with the person next to you because it's just deafening. And so, like I keep harping on that, but, like, that's my first thing right there is, like, make it so you can talk to the person next to you, and maybe people will want to bring people with them because they can interact.
Right. Another thing I think, Adam, that's held attendance down, and I know you got to go and play when you're told, some of the tip times, especially told to them by CBS and even more importantly, the Big Ten Network. I mean, Sunday nights at 8 o'clock in the dead of winter, Thursday nights at 9 o'clock in January. Come on, man. Nobody wants to go outside that late at night. I don't care who's playing.
It's a fantastic point. And, like, you look at this season, Ohio State had Senior Day, which, granted, doesn't mean what it used to mean. But they hosted, the Big Ten gave them Nebraska on, like, Tuesday at 8 o'clock, I think it was, for Senior Night.
Right.
And it was, like, the lowest Senior Night crowd they've ever had in that building because it's a non-marquee opponent on a Tuesday night, like, at, like, it might have even been 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it was 9, Adam. I think it was 9.
It was late. Yeah, and like they had a game before that where they hosted Washington, which was at the bottom of the Big Ten, not exactly a marquee game, and they had them during the week at like 8:30. And so, yeah, you're not setting some of these teams up, and that's what happens when you have an 18-team conference that spans both coasts. Like, you got to placate the West Coast fans to an extent as well. But yeah, that is. I'm glad you brought that up because that's another part of this whole picture where it's not the greatest situation to have a big crowd when you're playing at these all crazy hours of the night or during the week against non-marquee opponents. You're just not going to fill an 19,000 seat building when you're doing that.
No. Adam Jardy is our guest from the Columbus Dispatch. A couple more and we'll let you fly. You mentioned the expansion how do you feel right about now with that, with all the teams, the East Coast, West Coast thing, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, USC? How, in your mind, is that working? Is it going to work moving forward? And what are some of the other, I guess, different branches off that tree we're going to have to follow and look forward to?
I mean, I guess it's working in the sense that, I mean, it got them the TV deals it got, and they have the network partners that they have, and they have all those things that, like, that's really what it all comes down to. So from financial standpoint, they wouldn't have done it if it didn't make sense. I mean, I think still from a logistical standpoint and from an interest standpoint, I don't think it was, from a basketball standpoint, the greatest thing. I mean, like I said, the fans aren't exactly pouring through the turnstiles to watch Washington come to town, or honestly even Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the cross country travel, we'll be studying this, I think, for years. Like, it's one thing when you're the men's basketball program and you're flying charter and you've got all these trainers and sports science people that are helping you with it. Like, I don't know how the cross country team is handling it. I don't know how the field hockey team is handling it, but like, there's a lot of tentacles to this that I think are really interesting. But I don't think it necessarily makes the conference experience better for the fan, because as an Ohio State fan, like, you want to see him play, Michigan twice. You want to see him play Michigan State. Like, if you're going to spend the money and go through all the things we've talked about to go watch them play a home game, like, does honestly USC move the needle? Like, wouldn't you rather see Ohio State be playing Purdue again?
Yep.
Or Wisconsin or Michigan? Like, you're losing out on the games that matter and force feeding people matchups that they just don't care about as much. So it creates a little bit lesser of a product in my mind. And obviously, I mean, UCLA is a fantastically storied basketball program. Oregon is generally pretty good. UCLA or USC can be talented from time to time. Like, there are things to like about those programs, but to me, it just doesn't add to the conference from a basketball standpoint. But it clearly makes sense from a financial standpoint, or they wouldn't have done it.
Adam Jardy is our guest from the Columbus Dispatch. One more, and we'll let you roll, Adam. And I'd be remiss if I didn't work at least one football question in, but this is more along the TV side. What people are snorting fire up in these neck of the woods because of the Ohio State-Texas game being announced at noon for a kickoff. What's the word on the street down in Columbus? How are the people feeling about that?
They don't like it.
I didn't think they would either.
I do think, like, there's something to be said. Like, Ohio State has forever done a pretty good job of being like, listen, like, we're the big brother and we're happy to take on whatever because it helps our Big Ten brethren, and like, whatever, like, we'll play nice, we'll do all these things. But like, at some point, like, your fans and the people that care about you are missing out on things. And so, like, I don't actually cover any football. I mean, I'm just here in Columbus as someone who lives in Columbus and has, kids that, care about it and that are dialed in. And it's like, you want to have that 8:00 night game for the marquee non-conference opponent that, is really going to get, you can tailgate, you can have people over, you structure your whole day around it. Noon, it's just not the same. And I completely understand the frustration from fans that feel like, well, we have to watch during the season when Ohio State goes to Penn State, and they're going to put that as a night game, or they're going to put that later on the calendar, or in the day or whatever. But then when that same thing happens in Columbus, well, then they're playing it at noon. So it's like, you lose that home field advantage a little bit too. So I know there's a general level, again, as someone who's not plugged into football, there is a growing frustration level with noon kickoffs for marquee games, and I think the fans are getting a little sick of it down here.
Yep, I agree. And I think that game is scheduled for, what is it, the first week in September, I think, or close to it. Adam, it could be 95 degrees at noon in Columbus.
Also true.
So that's another thing that they got to take into consideration. Adam Jardy, you do such a wonderful job following the Buckeye basketball program. Columbus Dispatch is where you find Adam. We will call upon you, I'm sure, down the road and chop it up for the Buckeyes, and I appreciate you coming on today. Thank you, sir.
Well, thanks for all the kind words. Great to talk to you again. I appreciate you having me on.
You got it. Adam Jardy from the Columbus Dispatch joining us here on the Sam Bourquin Show. We'll keep it here for a couple more minutes because we got the news coming up here real soon. So thanks to Adam. It brings up some great points about the Buckeye basketball program, the Schottenstein Center. I mean, we've talked about that as far as high school basketball and the lack of the atmosphere. The place holds 19,600, I think. When they first opened that place, and remember, you know who was trying to win a state championship or state championships down there. LeBron was St. Vincent St. Mary. You couldn't get a ticket to that place. You couldn't get a ticket. People were scalping tickets for $200-$300 a pop outside the Schottenstein Center. Now you can't give them away. That's why they're not there anymore. That's why they're playing at UD Arena. But there's something to be said for a college atmosphere, putting your students, on the floor between the baskets in the lower bowl like Texas has done. They played a long time in the Frank Irwin Event Center, and that place held about 17,500. And as good as Texas basketball was, it was never Texas football, but they had some good teams down there. And eventually fell in some hard times. Atmosphere wasn't what it was. They were kind of, they said, you know what, we're going to build a basketball arena only. And they did. And I think it holds like 11,000. It's packed for every game. Looks tremendous on TV. USC, again, not a basketball power, but interesting enough to talk about and watch sometimes. They built the Galen Center. Place holds, I think, 10,800. Now, they don't fill it, but it looks a lot better than where they were playing before. A lot of other places have kind of redone their arenas a little bit. Texas Tech redid theirs. TCU redid theirs. Clemson redid theirs. Even the big boys in college basketball, they're not playing in the 19, 20,000 seat venues. I mean, North Carolina does, the Dean Dome, but that's the exception, not the norm. Anymore, it's give us a nice, cozy basketball arena, give us a good product, and people will fill that. They'll fill it 99% of the time. Again, thanks to Adam Jardy from the Columbus Dispatch. Okay, we're going to take a break. The news and weather coming up here at the top of the hour. If you want to get in, 330-821-1310. You can always text the program at 330-924-7088. Coming up, one more big hour on this day in sports history. We'll go back to the Sam Bourquin poll question of the day, and we'll talk to Dan Genetin, the new head wrestling coach at Perry. All that and more coming up here in the next hour on 1310 WDPN.
The latest news and the current Alliance area weather forecast are up next on AM 1310, WDPN Alliance.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A federal judge heard arguments today in the challenge to President Trump's 10% global tariff.
The argument played out over roughly 2 hours in a New York federal courtroom. The three-judge panel of the U.S. Court of International Trade heard an attorney for small businesses arguing that the president has overstepped, invoking emergency powers to impose his tariffs. A lawyer for the Justice Department countered by saying Congress gave presidents the power to declare emergencies. The courts can't second-guess their decisions.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. President Trump's Mideast trip began today in Saudi Arabia. He delivered a speech at an investment forum announcing a $600 billion investment by Saudi Arabia into U.S. ventures, and also says he will lift sanctions on Syria. The Consumer Price Index showing Americans paid about 2.3% more for just about everything in April than they were a year ago. That's slightly lower than what analysts expected despite tariffs. AAA says 3% more people will drive this holiday compared to last year. This is ABC News.
If you're waiting for summer deals to refresh your home, don't wait any longer because Macy's Memorial Day pre-sale is happening now. From backyard hosting to indoor updates, find the perfect pieces for every space, like amazing outdoor furniture sets, customer favorites like the Radley Sectional, and top mattress brands like Tempur-Pedic. Come in and get early access to incredible deals. We're talking 20 to 65% off before the official sale begins on Friday at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 5/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store single line activation on qualifying plan. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
Now, the latest Alliance area news from Jeff Mears on AM 1310 WDPN.
Good afternoon. It's 5:02. The parents of a Canton boy who died last week have turned themselves in. Canton police say 42-year-old Demetrius Givens and 37-year-old Jamie Thompson of Canton were taken to the Stark County Jail today. Warrants were issued Friday for the couple. Police had been unable to find them. Givens and Thompson are each charged with involuntary manslaughter and endangering children. Officers responded to a report of a 3-year-old child found not breathing in his bed in the 3100 block of Gilbert Circle Northeast, May 5th. Medics took the boy to Mercy Hospital. He died a short time later. Thompson had told a 911 dispatcher her son had medical problems and had been in and out of the hospital. Massillon police say a man died of injuries suffered when he attempted to take his own life Monday afternoon. Officers responded to a call for a welfare check at a home in the 1000 block of 3rd Street Northeast around 5 p.m. They found a 34-year-old man in distress. Police say they tried to offer him help, but the situation escalated, and the Canton Regional SWAT team was called to the scene. About 2 hours after the initial call, the man tried to commit suicide. SWAT team members and Massillon firefighters provided care. He was taken to a local hospital where he succumbed to unspecified injuries. The man's name has not been released. ASM Global will take over management of Centennial Plaza in downtown Canton. City Council Monday approved legislation allowing the company to assume oversight of the facility, which opened in 2021. The change is effective immediately. The Pro Football Hall of Fame previously managed Centennial Plaza. According to the repository, the switch to ASM Global is being made in the hopes of bringing more entertainment, more visitors, and ticketed events to the city-owned venue. The city will not pay the company any additional fee to manage the plaza, but ASM Global will receive 10% of all marketing revenue. The company also manages the Civic Center. The defense attorney for a man accused in a 2021 murder in East Liverpool wants the jury at his trial to see locations connected to the incident. A jury view request was submitted to Columbiana County Common Pleas Court Monday for the case of 35-year-old Elvin Tisdale. It will be reviewed by the court. Tisdale and his brother Alan are charged with aggravated murder in the shooting death of Bryson Douglas of East Liverpool. The defense attorney wishes to have jurors see the defendant's home in Newell, West Virginia, the Newell and Chester Bridges, 3 cell towers the defendant allegedly passed, and Kuntz Avenue and Campground Road. Among other things, the purpose is to show that the distance between Elvin's home and the location of the shooting doesn't reflect the alleged drive of the co-defendant and others. About 3,200 First Energy customers in Columbiana County were without power overnight. The utility says service was restored around 9 a.m. today. Over 1,800 of those affected were in Lisbon and Latonia. Classes in both school districts were canceled for the day. Other areas affected were Center, Elk Run, Fairfield, and Salem townships. The outage was blamed on a downed power line. 2 part-time positions will continue to provide legal services for the village of Sebring. Under an ordinance passed Monday, Jerry Yost will be retained as solicitor and Caitlin Wire as prosecutor. They will work under a 1-year contract effective immediately. Yost will be paid $27,000, while Wire will get $18,000. Council also approved an amended lease with Ken Coleman, trustee of the Peter and Helga Coleman Trust. The agreement allows use of a vacant parcel near Southside Park for 1 year for recreational activities. It will automatically renew for up to 14 years. Prosecutors are recommending 5 years in prison for an Austintown man after he pleaded guilty to child pornography charges. Sentencing is scheduled July 8th in Mahoning County Common Pleas Court for 73-year-old Robert Casey. He entered the plea today to 5 counts of pandering obscenity involving a minor. 10 pandering counts were dropped. Casey was secretly indicted in March. An investigation was triggered by a tip to the Mahoning Valley Human Trafficking Task Force. Casey's home was searched, and police found several electronic devices containing child sex abuse material. He must also register as a Tier 2 sex offender after release. A competency hearing is scheduled Thursday in Mahoning County Common Pleas Court for a former truck driver charged in a murder that occurred over 30 years ago. Judge John Durkin will review a psychiatric report for 55-year-old Samuel Legg. He's charged with aggravated murder in the 1992 slaying of Sharon Kudzierski. She was found dead outside an Austintown truck stop. The coroner later determined Kudzierski had been beaten to death. Legg was previously ruled not competent to stand trial 3 times, most recently in 2023. A Wood County judge last week found him not competent for the 1996 murder and rape of a kidnapping victim. In 2006, DNA was used to link Legg to that homicide and a 1997 killing in Illinois. The Austintown murder was added to a database in 2012. Legg was arrested in 2019. Youngstown police are investigating after someone fired multiple shots at a home on the city's south side Monday night. Officers responded to a South Avenue address around 7:50. WKBN TV reports a woman told police several children were playing outside when a man drove up and asked if a specific person was inside the house. When he was told the person was there, he said he'd be back. Gunfire erupted outside several minutes later. No one was hurt. A woman at the home told officers she had a restraining order against the suspect and he had been threatening her. A Batavia, New York man has been sentenced to 6 months in jail for assaulting a police officer. The trial of 35-year-old Anthony Goulet began in Mahoning County Common Pleas Court Monday for the February 2024 incident. He pleaded guilty to charges of resisting arrest, physical control of a vehicle, and obstructing justice. One count of assault was dropped. Boardman police found Goulet asleep at the wheel of a running pickup truck at a hotel on Tiffany South. Officers opened the door, but Goulet reportedly became combative. He dared officers to use their stun guns on him. They did so twice without effect. Goulet reportedly hit an officer with a truck's door and kicked him before being taken to the ground. Warren police say a man faces drug charges after he turned up at a hospital with a gunshot wound. Officers were called to St. Joseph Hospital Saturday night for a shooting victim. He was identified as 48-year-old Darius Simmons of Warren. Police found several bullet holes in his vehicle. A shoebox inside the car reportedly contained suspected narcotics, which tested positive for fentanyl and drug paraphernalia. Simmons was arrested and charged with aggravated drug trafficking and possession. He pleaded not guilty Monday during his arraignment. Simmons is being held without bond in the Trumbull County Jail. 3 people are dead after a Monday house fire in Ashtabula County. Authorities say the victims are 24-year-old Izzy Giorski, who was 6 months pregnant, along with her 8-year-old daughter Brooklyn and 1-year-old daughter Celeste. Giorski's fiance wasn't home at the time. Kingsville Fire Chief David West said firefighters were dispatched around 4:55 a.m. The state fire marshal's office is working with the county sheriff, coroner's office, and local fire departments in an ongoing investigation. The cause has not been determined. Police say Ohio State women's basketball coach Kevin McGuff was charged with OVI last week. Officers of Dublin say curbs and drove into a yard where he was found behind the wheel May 6th. According to a police report, McGuff refused to give a breath sample. He was the Big Ten's 2024 Coach of the Year. McGuff has led Ohio State to 8 NCAA tournament appearances in 12 seasons. Ohio State issued a statement saying it was aware of the charge, calling it a personal legal matter. Taking a look at Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed today at 42,253, down 157 points. The Nasdaq Composite ended the day 302 points higher at 19,010. And the S&P 500 closed at 5,903, up 59 points. It's 68 degrees in Alliance at 5:09. This is the local edition of WDPN News. I'm Jeff Mears.
Here's Mark Johnson's forecast on AM 1310 WDPN.
Staying warm for your Tuesday afternoon, 72 degrees, but better grab the umbrella. We got some widely scattered showers and storms moving in. Overnight rain and thunder here and there, mainly before midnight with a low of 59. I am Mark J. Weather. Have a great day.
Do you have trouble getting in and out of the bathtub? Are you afraid you'll slip and fall entering or exiting a tub? Safe Step walk-in tubs can transform your bathtub from an area of concern to a calming refuge. Call them today at 1-800-498-2098 and save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs and showers are proudly made in Tennessee and offer an ultra-low step-in, avoiding that difficult climb over a traditional bathtub wall. They also offer a variety of therapeutic benefits that may help soothe your aching muscles and joints, increasing your mobility, boosting your energy, and improving your sleep. Safe Step walk-in tubs are designed to easily fit your existing tub space and are often installed in as little as 1 day. Just dial 1-800-498-2098 today to save $1,600 and receive a free shower package. That's 1-800-498-2098 for a free no-obligation consultation and to save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs. Safety never felt so good.
When I smoke weed, I get lost in the music. I like to isolate each instrument. The rhythmic bass, the harmonies on the piano, the sticky melody.
Hey, careful, babe. There's someone crossing the street.
Sorry, I didn't see him there.
If you feel different, you drive different. Don't drive high. It's dangerous and illegal everywhere. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is,
can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Live from the AM 1310 WDPN studio, it's time for live and local sports talk. It's the Sam Bourquin Show.
I'm ready.
Give the show a call at 330-821-1310.
Good call, meatball.
Watch the Sam Bourquin Show on the AM 1310 Facebook page, the Q92 YouTube page, and on X. This is the Sam Bourquin Show on AM 1310 WDPN.
Jose's off. Pitch is high. Throw down. Bounced. Not in time. Ramirez with his 10th stolen base of the year.
And that's why it was safe.
Jose's running for third. Here's the throw. It's not in time. And Ramirez went in there. He almost upended Durbin, the third baseman. Center field. Churio racing back. Still going back. And makes. No, he didn't make the catch. Ramirez scores. Santana scores. Here comes Bo. It's a 3-run double with 2 outs for Gabriel Arias.
Runs and drives inside, kicks it out. Ananobi, wide open three-pointer. It's good. Hart in the front court. Hart to drive, gets to the Rams. Bang shot is good. 2.5 remaining.
The second pick will be made by the San Antonio Spurs, and that means that the number 1 pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
Welcome back to the Sam Bourquin Show, hour number 3, AM 1310 WDPN, streaming live all over the world. Hello, world, at AM1310WDPN.com. You can listen on the WDPN X page, the Facebook page. You can watch and listen on the Q92 Radio YouTube channel, Facebook page. You can check us out. We're here 3 until 6, Monday through Friday. Sammy B here, Ryan Rainsberg on the other side of the glass, welcoming you in to the big hour number 3. I want to thank my guests from earlier today. Walsh University head basketball coach Jeff Young stopped by, talk a little Cavs hoops with us today, and a little Walsh hoops as well. Thanks to Adam Jardy from the Columbus Dispatch, giving us a little update on the Buckeye basketball program and what maybe they could do to make the Schottenstein Center a little better place to watch Buckeye basketball. Perry, new wrestling coach. Dan Genetin is going to be joining us at around 5:35 this afternoon. And, of course, we'll do our daily on this day in sports history. We got some good stuff again for you today. That is coming up around 5:25. All right, let's get those phone numbers out there to you. 330-821-1310. That's 330-821-1310. You can text the show, 330-924-7088. That's 330-924-7088. Rob says, Sam, great job. Love the show. Keep the energy up. Maybe you will rub off on the Cavaliers tonight. Go Cavs. Sammy, what do you think tonight? Game 5, Cavs Pacers. Jim says he's got the Pacers to win it. Oh God, Jim, I hope you're wrong. But thanks for the comment. Hey, a little bit of breaking news here. And because you never know when it's going to break. That's why they call it breaking news. And I'm going to get together with my producer, Ryan, and we're gonna have to get a breaking news hotkey. I think this is pretty big stuff right here.
I can get that.
Yeah. I guess it's pretty big stuff here. Breaking news from Major League Baseball. Major League Commissioner Rob Manfred has announced that Pete Rose has been removed from the league's permanently ineligible list, ruling that the status is no longer applying upon their death. Pete Rose, along with shoeless Joe Jackson and others, now eligible for the Hall of Fame. Finally, Pete Rose may get into the Hall of Fame after all. Posthumously, of course. And damn it, it should have been done before he passed away, to be honest with you. But it wasn't. But this coming from Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred announces that Pete Rose has been removed from the league's permanently ineligible list. Pete Rose is now eligible for the Hall of Fame. That is pretty big news. And I know a lot of folks, a lot of baseball fans, a lot of close friends of mine, a lot of people that I just talked to being in the business. This is a big announcement for them. This should have been done years ago, okay? But now a chance for Pete to be where he belongs, and that's in Cooperstown. I bet they're going wild in Cincinnati right now, maybe even in Philadelphia. The hit king, Pete Rose, now eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame. What do you think about that? Happy? 330-821-1310. I don't know what to make of it as far as the timing of the announcement. I'm not really reading anything into that. But it just broke a little bit ago. I was scrolling through. I said, oh, what's this? Anytime I see breaking in capital letters on X, my eyes get as big as saucers. So I start scrolling down, zooming in a little bit, and I was like, wow, okay. So Pete Rose now is finally eligible to go in to the Hall of Fame. That's pretty cool stuff right there. 18 minutes after 5 o'clock. Again, coming up on this day in sports history, we will continue to get you ready for the Cavs and the Pacers. Cleveland, a 7.5 point favorite right now against Indiana. Tip off at about 7:10 at Rocket Arena. Cavs trail that series, as you know, 3-1. Terrible injury last night for the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum tore his Achilles. He is done for the year, and it looks like the New York Knicks could be headed to the Eastern Conference Finals. Some tidying up to do. National Football League will announce the schedule tomorrow. We'll find out the schedules for all 32 teams, the Sunday night games, the Monday night games, the stupid Black Friday game, the Saturday games. We'll get all that information tomorrow evening. Now, there will be leaks. Of course, there's always leaks that the league puts out. We'll probably pick up a few of those along the way. We did find out today that the Browns will play the Vikings week 5. That's October the 5th in London. Browns-Vikings, October the 5th in London. That's week 5. We told you yesterday the opening game of the year is going to be the Cowboys in the Eagles on the league's first game of the year. That, of course, is on a Thursday night. Some of the games that are also overseas, Steelers, Vikings. Why are the Vikings playing 2 games overseas? Why? Steelers, Vikings in Dublin, September the 28th. Week 6, Broncos, Jets in London. Week 7, Rams, Jags in London. Week 10, Falcons, Colts in Berlin. Week 11, Dolphins, Commanders in Spain on November the 16th. The Chargers will be playing in Brazil on September the 5th, but the NFL has not told us who the Chargers will be playing yet. So the big schedule release tomorrow, and you know who the Browns are playing. We'll just find out the days and the times and and all that good stuff as well. 8 games now. 8 outside of the United States. And, of course, we know why. Money. That's the only reason. There's no other reason for it. There isn't. And you'll never convince me that there is. There's not. But if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, you're going to be playing in Dublin week 4, and then you're going to play in London week 5. Those folks got to be going out of their mind. That's hideous. And say, oh, you're making too big a deal out of it. Okay. Steeler fans, what if I took 2 of your games and I moved them out of the country? What if I took a home game from Heinz or whatever they call it, Acrisure, and said, nope, you're going to London. You're going to Spain. You're going to Brazil. How would you like that? Browns fans, how would you feel? I mean, you're already losing the game. You're going to London. What if twice during the regular season you had to go out of the States? You think the coaches and the players like that? Probably not. Probably not. But the full NFL schedule released tomorrow. There will be leaks, and I'm sure we'll pick up a few of those and pass those along to you tomorrow here on 1310 WDPN. All right, we're going to take a break. Phones are open if you want to get in, 330-821-1310. It's 330-821-1310. When we get back on this day in sports history, then we'll bring in the new wrestling coach of the Perry Panthers, Dan Genetin, on the other side. All that and more coming up on the Sam Bourquin Show. Stay with us.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Possibilities are all around us. Everywhere we look, we see opportunity in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world that we call home. Like transforming an old bus to feed hungry children, or providing life-saving equipment to those who need it most. From fighting disease to rebuilding schools, together we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved today at rotary.org/action.
This place has a pulse. You hear it in the canopy, feel it in the ground. Life, fully illuminated, engulfs you. From the birds singing in the treetops above to the tiniest insects in the soil below, you take a deep, cleansing breath, filling your lungs with the essence of the forest. Now, imagine it's all gone. Healthy, life-giving forests reduced to nothing. No singing birds, no lush canopy, and water and food in short supply around the world. Time is running out to protect our forests, and without our love, they can and will disappear. It's our choice. Love it or lose it. Help protect our forests. Visit World Wildlife Fund at wwf.org/love.
All right, welcome back to the Sam Bourquin Show, 1310 WDPN, streaming live at AM1310WDPN.com. Breaking news before we get to our On This Day in Sports History. Pete Rose, yes, Charlie Hustle. Pete Rose is now eligible for the Hall of Fame. That news just broke about a half an hour ago. All right, on this day in sports history, in 1953, Willie Mays and Darrell Spencer, each of the New York Giants, both hit 2 home runs and a triple in the same game. 1958, Stan Musial became the 8th player in Major League history to get 3,000 hits. On this day in 1982, the Chicago Cubs won their 8,000th game. 1985, Carlton Fisk became the 5th catcher in MLB history to steal 100 bases. And on this day in 1996, Orenthal James Simpson, OJ, appeared on British television to discuss his not guilty verdict. All right, let's go back and relive some of the great times on this day in history. 1983. I just need to tell you, Reggie Jackson became the first major leaguer to strike out 2,000 times. Unbelievable. Reggie, 2,000 strikeouts, and that happened in 1983. 1989, Wayne Gretzky was a guest on Saturday Night Live. Gretzky on this day, a guest on Saturday Night Live. 1991 at Yankee Stadium, the fans were singing Madonna's song Like a Virgin to Jose Canseco. It was wild that night. And here's a Yankee fan after the game. And that's it. You're gone. And on this day in 1994, the Cleveland Indians began an 18-game winning streak. We did all the work for you. We went all the way to the end. Here is the 18th win in a row. Well, that was Dan Shulman on the call back in the day on ESPN. How about that? Cody Allen got the save in the Tribe's 18th consecutive win. Bottom of the hour. Coming up, news and weather. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little Perry wrestling with the new coach, Dan Genetin. All that and more on the Sam Bourquin Show, 1310 WDPN.
Here's the latest news on AM 1310 WDPN.
Good afternoon. It's 5:30. President Trump is in Saudi Arabia as part of a three-nation Mideast tour and has received a warm welcome from Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The president also gave a foreign policy speech and came onto the stage at the Riyadh Conference Center to the strains of YMCA and God Bless the USA. During his speech, Trump said he is warming relations with Syria's new government.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness.
Trump also said he wants to make a new nuclear agreement with Iran Iran, but stresses that Iran hasn't been fully cooperative. Business leaders from Amazon, BlackRock, OpenAI are also in Saudi Arabia for the president's trip. Tax breaks tallying more than $5 trillion, but also sizable reductions in Medicaid healthcare, food stamps for older Americans, and green energy strategies to fight climate change. Those are all up for debate today as the House Republicans launch public hearings on President Trump's spending bill. Republicans are working to push Trump's signature legislative package through a gauntlet of committee hearings over opposition from Democrats, advocacy groups, and even some Republicans. House Speaker Mike Johnson hopes to send the Senate the bill by Memorial Day. President Trump's administration is cutting another $450 million in grants to Harvard University, a day after the Ivy League school pushed back against government allegations it's a hotbed of liberalism and anti-Semitism. A federal anti-Semitism task force said in a letter to Harvard today it will lose grants from 8 federal agencies in addition to $2.2 billion previously frozen by the Trump administration. Harvard disputes the government's allegations, saying it is nonpartisan and has taken steps to root out anti-Semitism on campus. George Clooney is one of the world's most recognizable celebrities, but 2 reporters who have written a forthcoming book about President Joe Biden's final years in office say he didn't recognize the actor last year. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more from Washington.
In an article they've written for The New Yorker, CNN's Jake Tapper and Axios' Alex Thompson say actor George Clooney was shaken to the core when at a star-studded LA fundraiser last June, then President Biden seemingly failed to recognize him. The authors say Biden, who had just returned from a summit in Italy, had to be prompted that he was shaking hands with the Hollywood legend. Just weeks later, after Biden's disastrous debate performance, Clooney was one of the earliest and most prominent Biden supporters to urge him to drop out of the race.
It's 68 degrees in Alliance at 5:32. This is WDPN News. I'm Jeff Mears.
Meteorologist Mark Johnson has the latest forecast on AM 1310 WDPN.
All right, for your Tuesday afternoon, some widely scattered rain, maybe a rumble of thunder. Our high 72 degrees. Overnight scattered rain and thunder mostly before midnight. Our low 59. I am Mark J. Weather. Have a great Tuesday.
Possibilities are all around us. Everywhere we look, we see opportunity in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world that we call home. Like transforming an old bus to feed hungry children, or providing life-saving equipment to those who need it most. From fighting disease to rebuilding schools, together we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved today at rotary.org/action.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's. The Parkinson's Foundation knows that the disease doesn't just affect the diagnosed. It affects everyone who supports and helps care for them.
If you or someone you know is living with Parkinson's, a neurological disease that affects movement, we understand that it can be difficult to know where to find help.
If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers. Answers for everyone in the fight.
We can help you understand the disease, help you find expert care and local support,
give you tips for living a better life,
and share the latest research.
Find your answers and join us in the fight against Parkinson's.
To learn more, please go to parkinson.org
or call 1-800-473-4636.
That's 1-800-473-4636. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
You're listening to the Sam Bourquin Show on AM 1310 WDPN.
1310 WDPN streaming live at AM1310WDPN.com. 330-821-1310. 330-821-1310. Again, the breaking news, Pete Rose is now eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame. Commissioner Manfred made that announcement about 35 minutes ago. So that was pretty cool to see. Now he's eligible. Now, got to get voted in, but I mean, come on now. Pete Rose deserves to be in Cooperstown. Our poll question of the day on X. What was your favorite era of sports? In your opinion, what was the best era for sports? Was it the 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s to current? Got a lot of great response on X, on Facebook. What was your best era? 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s? Pardon me while I do a little homework here while I'm on the air. Let's see here. We got a phone number mixed up here for some reason. Hand that off to my producer. Is that what we've been calling? Okay. All right. Anyhow, Dan Genetin scheduled to join us from the Perry Panthers wrestling coach coming up here in just a few minutes. Cavs Pacers tonight, Game 5 in Cleveland. Looking forward to that. 7-10 tip. Cavs are still anywhere between a 7.5 and 8-point favorite. NFL schedule releases tomorrow. We already know the Browns will be playing the Vikings Week 5 in London. That is on October the 5th. There's a couple of rumors going around. I don't know if they're leaks or whatever, that the Browns may be opening up in the Meadowlands at the New York Jets. Can't confirm that. Nothing official. That's just some of the stuff that's flying around. I did want to mention some of our baseball teams in the area that have really had an outstanding year. So far, excuse me, Alliance, I've got them coming in at 17 or 18-3. Central Catholic 12-4, Glen Oak 18-4, Jackson 19-3, McKinley 14-9, Hoover 12-8, Carrollton 16-4. Those teams are the best of the county right now, and we will definitely be following them as we move into the tournament, and we'll be talking to some of those coaches as well. Some of our softball teams are really doing well. Lacrosse, we're getting into that point where regular season, another 2 weeks or so, and we go into the tournaments, and then you start saying, hey, maybe so-and-so team can make a run for a state championship. Well, a program that is absolutely familiar with championships, that is the Perry Wrestling Program. They've got a new man in charge. It is Dan Genetin. He takes over the program, and he's kind enough to join us here on the Sam Bourquin Show right now, 1310 WDPN. Coach Dan, good afternoon. First of all, congratulations. How are you this afternoon?
Great, Sam. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for coming on. I know you had a busy day today doing some stuff, but I appreciate you making time for us here on 1310 WDPN. I don't think a shock to a lot that you've become the man in charge after Coach McBurney stepped down, and he's going to do some different things and follow his son and different things like that, which is really cool. And you're the new man in town now. It's your program. How excited are you to maybe put your stamp on the Perry Wrestling Program?
Sometimes words can't describe it. It's still kind of an all moment, where I don't feel like it's really sunk in yet. But, I think for the most part, we're going to kind of follow the mold that Perry Wrestling's had for a while. Obviously, I'm going to like to put, a couple of touch and twist on my end of things, to kind of put it a little bit my way. But for the most part, we're going to keep doing what Perry's done for the last 20 to 30 years and be hard workers and continue to outwork, our opponents.
Coach, when people think of Perry sports, they think of Perry, they think of wrestling. They think of, the outstanding duels with Lakewood St. Ed's, of winning state championships, of sending gobs and gobs of wrestlers to the districts and to regionals and to the state. I'm not sure exactly when it turned in the direction of such a dominant program. And I know a little bit about the history, but not as much as maybe that I should. When did it become apparent decades ago that Perry was going to rule the roost as far as high school wrestling, not just in Stark County, but a pretty good portion of Northeast Ohio?
When Dave Riggs took over, he really got Perry on the map. He was able to, first off, at that point in time, North Canton Hoover was kind of the powerhouse in Stark County. Mm-hmm. Able to start competing with them and, winning Federal League titles pretty consistently. And I would say probably in the late 90s, early 2000s is when we really started hitting the state scene where we were a top 3 team perennially, pretty consistently. And then from here on out, we've had a couple of times where we've been outside of the top 10, but we've been right up there in the top 5 each year in the state. In the last few years, top 2 or 3, pushing top 10, 15 in the nation as well.
What is the key to keep the dominance, Coach? I mean, obviously, when Perry is on somebody's wrestling schedule, that's a big target. That's their Super Bowl. But you guys have always been able to overcome and do what you do. How do you maintain the focus? How do you keep that edge? How do people stay hungry?
It all starts with our coaches. We have a great group of guys. It's just not a one-man team. Doesn't matter who's in charge. We have about 8 to 10, other coaches who are consistently putting the time in year-round to help these guys sharpen their tools, whether it's mentally, physically, whether it's learning different wrestling moves or getting time in the weight room. So, when you have that support from multiple people, you're able to, grow a lot quicker or faster than, some other programs, because, a lot of these other programs don't have the resources that we're able to offer to some of these kids. And at the end of the day, you have to look at the kids too. They have to buy into what we're teaching them. And if they don't buy into what we're teaching them, it's not helping the cause. But we've been fortunate that we've had a group of kids along the way who do trust in the coaches and believe in what we're telling them to do. And, I think the results have shown for that.
New head wrestling coach is Perry. Dan Genetin is our guest here on the Sam Bourquin Show, 1310 WDPN. You can pull us up and watch us live right now at Q92 Sports on the Q92 YouTube channel and Facebook channel as well. Dan, I asked you that question about how do you keep the guys on their toes? How do you keep them hungry? Kind of a peel back question off of that. How did you do it nowadays as opposed to in the 80s, in the 90s, early 2000s? What do you have to do differently to get that message across? Maybe some stuff that you can't do now that you could do 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I think times have changed a little bit. The fear for motivation to get kids to do stuff is kind of not there anymore, or kids don't respond to it. I think it's more building that, relationship with them. That's huge. When you can build a relationship with a kid where they're able to truly trust in you and buy into what you're talking about, that's when they're going to go through a brick wall for you. And it just doesn't happen overnight. It's something that takes, for some kids it's quicker than others, but it typically takes years on end to grow that relationship with these student athletes. Then, once you gain that trust from them, that's when you really get them to buy in. That's when they become great leaders on the team. And that's something as a coaching staff we've really tried to work on and get better at these last few years, is building those relationships with the kids, because it's vital to the success we have had. Kind of to go back where you were talking about, how do you keep these kids motivated? There's always something, it seems like, in wrestling to get them to the next level. Did they reach their goal of being a state champion? We have national championships. So there's a lot of things that you can constantly get these kids to work towards. In the day now where going to college, it's just not a scholarship anymore. Mm-hmm. You get NIL money. And if you do better in some of these tournaments, that's just more money that these college programs are going to be throwing at you. So having motivation like that for these wrestlers is huge. It was a lot different back when I went into high school. It was, working for a scholarship. Now it's just not a scholarship. It's working for hundreds of thousands of dollars, to go compete at the next level.
Dan, what made or makes still to this day wrestling so special for you and in your mind? I always looked, I only wrestled for 1 year. I was horrible at it. I was in great shape, but I was a terrible wrestler. But I just remember you're kind of out there on an island, man. It's like a DB on a wide receiver. It's just you and the other guy. That's how you got to go at it, right?
100%. I mean, why wrestling's been such a huge part in my life is it's taught you to overcome a lot of different adversities that you're going to face. When you're out there on the mat, the only person you can blame is yourself for the most part. Yeah, it might come down to the referee making a decision, but at the end of the day, it was you out there and an opponent, and you're the one who controls your own destiny. It teaches you so many things like perseverance, discipline, wrestling does. And, when you go up and grow through life, whether it's with your job or with your family or your spouse, you're going to run into these issues. And wrestling has definitely helped me overcome, a lot of obstacles in life that, I probably wouldn't have been able to. But being put in those positions, whether it was in junior high, high school, or college, has helped me face these obstacles head on and, come through them with a better outlook on life and some positivity with that. So that's why wrestling's been so important to me. And I think to so many others, it's helped them get through these tough times and teach them a lot that, a lot of other sports can.
New Perry wrestling coach Dan Genetin, our guest here on the Sam Bourquin Show, 1310 WDPN. I assume you will keep the same standard of the best competition, scheduling the best duels you can, going to classics, tournaments, different things like that. That's certainly not going to change, right?
So for the most part, yeah, our schedule's pretty much set in stone for the tournaments. We're last couple of years we went out to Oklahoma for the national duels. This year our team's a little bit different. We have some very good individuals, but we don't have maybe a complete team. So we're looking to fill that void with a tough tournament, whether going out of state for that or kind of finding something around here. We do have some openings for some dual meets. The problem is kind of coming so late into the year, scheduling wise. A lot of teams have their, schedules made up by now, but we'll definitely be working towards getting, another marquee duel against a nationally ranked team like Clovis, California, who came in last year. Or, we're willing to travel as well, as long as it makes sense, for our program and for our kids, to get them better. And, obviously money, it goes a long way too, if we can afford it as well.
Coach, for those that have never been to the state wrestling tournament, they've never been down to Ohio State and seeing all those mats and 19,000 people screaming and hanging on every move. For those that have not been, they have not experienced, but maybe need a little nudge, what would you tell them?
Obviously I'm pretty biased, but it's a pretty incredible experience. I've had a couple of my buddies who went down the last few years who have no wrestling affiliation at all. They were down there for a family friend, and they said, this is one of the coolest things ever. You're out there, like you said, in front of tens of thousands of people. You're in the Schotten's Teen Center. I mean, the atmosphere is awesome. Now they've added the girls division down there too. So it's really made it pretty special. And, if you can't make it down there for, I guess the prelims and stuff, the finals in itself is a whole different level. The way they go through announcing the guys, spotlights, the smoke out of the tunnel. I mean, it gives me goosebumps all the time. Ohio puts on a great show. And even when I was in college, we took some of my own college roommates, to the state tournament. And they're like, this blows our state tournament out of the water, how well they do it down there. It's pretty credible experience. And, I think that's why a lot of our guys, have that motivation as well. It's such a neat time being down there, not only to hopefully reach their personal goals, but, to have those memories that they're going to have for a lifetime.
You talked, Coach Dan Genetin is our guest. He's the new head wrestling coach at Perry. You talked about, guys, playing for scholarships or, and now it's a whole new ballgame out there with NIL and your future and different things like that. For those that may be new to the sport of high school wrestling or maybe new to the wrestling period, Perry has had a ton of guys go through with the scholarships, going on to the big universities to wrestle at the D1 level, D2, what have you. What does it look like now? Let's just go with the big wrestling programs in the country. Is it still Iowa, Iowa State? I know Penn State is very good. Ohio State is getting better. What are some of the power wrestling programs in the country as we sit here in 2025?
So you just mentioned a bunch of them. Penn State's obviously in a class of its own. A lot of people compare this Penn State dynasty to, some of the Alabama football teams with Bear Bryant, Nick Saban. I think out of the last 13 years, they've won 10 of the national or 11 of the national championships. Then you have, obviously Iowa, who's always good. They live and breathe wrestling out there. Iowa State's pretty good. And then a new team that's kind of coming on right now is Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
They just hired an Olympian, gold medalist, David Taylor, who was an ex-Penn State wrestler. He's really researching a storied program. So those are definitely the top teams. And then, you sprinkle in like an Ohio State, who's a kind of a perennial top 10 team, Cornell, Virginia Tech. But those top three are kind of in the class of their own.
Well, there's some good ones out there. Well, Coach, again, congratulations. It's your program now. We're going to let you run with it and do what you can do. I appreciate you taking some time today. Best of luck, and I'm sure we'll call upon you once wrestling season rolls around. All the best to you, Dan. Thanks for coming on.
All right, Sam, thanks for having me on.
Dan Genetin, the new wrestling coach of the Perry Panthers, and they do wrestling right over there in the PTO. All right, we're going to step out. We'll come back and kind of hit the home stretch on this Tuesday afternoon. It's the Sam Bourquin Show on 1310 WDPN. Again, you can watch on the Q92 Radio YouTube channel and Facebook. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other, leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
With love, I will build a wonderful thing that makes this life better for you and for me.
For 100 years and counting, Shriners Hospitals for Children has been creating wonderful opportunities for children in need. This life-changing medical care helps them do the things they've always dreamed of.
Shriners Hospitals for Children has done so much for me and so many other kids.
I can dance.
I can play games with my friends.
Because of Shriners Hospitals for Children, I have no limits, and I'm doing more than what I ever thought possible.
To find out more about how children in need are being helped every day, go to loveshriners.org today.
Hey Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew, so here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go. Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
You're listening to the Sam Bourquin Show on AM 1310 WDPN.
All right, we got about 4.5 minutes left in the program. I want to kind of reset things here and thank all of my guests today. Walsh University head men's basketball coach Jeff Young for joining us on the program. Thanks to Adam Jardy from the Columbus Dispatch, and a big shout out to Dan Genetin, the new wrestling coach of Perry, all appearing on the Sam Bourquin Show today, 1310 WDPN. Don't forget, folks, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure you are following us on all of our social media platforms. Give us a like, give us a share, drop some comments. We can start some conversations. We can keep those going, whether it's Facebook, X, Instagram, my personal page, my show page, 13 WDPN on Twitter. Make sure you are just kind of coming along for the big ride here, and we'll keep you informed, entertained, maybe make you laugh a little bit, give you some breaking news like we did today. We'll keep up with our outstanding guest list we just keep adding to, and we'll get this baby rolling here Monday through Friday, 3 until 6 on 1310 WDPN. As a matter of fact, while you're at it, do me a favor right now. Reach over, maybe your alarm clock, talk to your Alexa, set your phone, your watch, whatever. Make sure you spend the day with us. Set that alarm. You can tune in at 6 a.m., Rex in the morning. 10 o'clock, John Tesh will drop by until 3, and I'll roll in for the 3 until 6 shift here on 1310. Great way to spend the day. Your unforgettable favorites, a little cool stuff for your life, and a little sports talk here in the afternoon. Cavaliers in the Pacers tonight. Cavs still holding steady at a 7.5-point favorite. Hey, there's nothing else I can tell them. There's nothing else we can do. You win tonight or you're cooked. It's real simple. Win or you're done. You win, you go back to Indiana on Friday. Ooh, we'll have a fun show then. Now, just imagine now. Let me allow for all of us to dream. Cavaliers win tonight. Go to Indiana, win Friday. Come back to Rocket Arena Sunday. Win Game 7. You think we won't be throwing a Cavalier party in here on Monday? We'd have to bring a bartender in here. That will be fun.
I don't know if I could do this show drunk, Sam.
Well, you can try.
I'll have to try, I guess.
As long as you're not operating a motor vehicle, you'll be fine.
No, there's no heavy machinery in here. I think we'll
Can
be
you
okay.
imagine the fun we could have if the Cavaliers would play in a Game 7 Sunday night and win it? So we can all look forward to that. Hey, I don't want to shortchange the Guardians. Great game last night. Hosey stole 3 bases. Gabby Arias had a 3-run double last night as they win. So the Guards will take on the Brewers tonight at 6:10 in Game 2 of that series. So there's a lot going on. And best of luck to all of our spring sports athletes that are still out there grinding. Baseball, softball, track and field, lacrosse, you name it. Keep doing your thing and get yourself ready for the tournaments that are coming up here in the next week and a half or 2 weeks. Let's see. Tomorrow, we will yeah, we're going to do it. We'll probably play the schedule game tomorrow. As bad a radio as it is, we'll probably do it anyway. The official NFL release, the schedule release, comes tomorrow. We'll be breaking down that. We'll talk a little Guards. We'll talk Cavs Pacers. What will the outcome be? We'll have another rendition of On This Day in Sports History, our Sam Bourquin poll question of the day, you on the phones, and a whole lot more. You hear Phil in the background. You know what time that is. I want to thank my producer extraordinaire, Ryan Rainsberg, today. Thanks to all the callers, emailers, texters, commenters, and most of all, thanks to all of you for listening. Have a great night, everybody. Go Bucks, go Browns, go Guards. Come on, Cavs. We'll see you tomorrow.
Come on, Cavs.